Come along with me to discover how a homeless little kitten sneaks into wolf territory just to survive, looking for a simple job but ending up completely spoiled by the entire pack. The poor girl was named Kitty. Not long ago, she and her mother were caught stealing food by other cat shifters. No matter how much she begged, they were heartlessly exiled from their freezing territory without an ounce of mercy. Her mother was beaten within an inch of her life. Holding her weak, frail body, Kitty wept bitterly, feeling completely lost and helpless. Knowing her time was running out, the mother used her final breath to reveal a special power, and with those words, she passed away. Kitty was absolutely shattered, clinging to her mother's body. They only wanted to survive, so why did they deserve such a tragedy? The little girl dug a grave for her mother and wept inconsolably over the fresh dirt. First her brother and father, and now her mother. Heartbroken and filled with resentment, Kitty left the cat territory behind. She had no idea where to go in the deep forest. Right then, looming shadows appeared before her. It was a werewolf patrol that had accidentally crossed the border. Suddenly, a crazy idea sparked in Kitty's mind. In her current state, she looked just like an ordinary wolf pup. Her mother always said beastkin babies look identical before their defining traits grow, and that they only differed by the color of their fur. Besides, the Gru family ruling the wolf territory was wealthy and famous for being extremely kind. Meanwhile, at the Gru mansion, two young wolf brothers had just returned home and were completely bored. They had been sent inside after playing for a bit, with absolutely nothing fun to pass the time. Pay close attention here. There's a knock at the door, and looking down, the boys find a tiny, malnourished pup. "Excuse me, is this the Gru residence? I heard you give jobs to poor, familyless wolves." When they nodded, Kitty's ears perked up happily, completely unaware that her cat scent had already given her away. Even so, they invited her inside. Once inside, the girl held out both hands, saying it was a pleasure. That double handshake was weird, but the boys accepted it. As they touched Kitty's tiny hands, a wave of unbelievable softness washed over both brothers' minds. It felt so good they didn't want to let go. The wolves were shocked by her softness, while she thought her plan was working. The two boys then led Kitty by the hand to show her around. The luxury and elegant servants made Kitty feel tiny and completely out of place in such a massive mansion. But she forced herself to be strong. After all, her mother always told her she was one tough cat. Noticing her discomfort, they asked if she was sick, but right then, Kitty's stomach let out a loud rumble. Desperate not to get kicked out, she quickly explained she hadn't eaten in days, but was used to only one meal. Doesn't that just break your heart? The stunned brothers could only wonder what had brought her all this way. Hearing that she was all alone, they wrapped her in a soft blanket and guided her to the main dining room. Before eating, they asked for her name. Seeing her hesitate, they quickly asked what they should call her instead. Kitty showed them her paws and said they called her Softy because her hands were incredibly tender and delicate. The boys chuckled, which she totally misunderstood. Kitty quickly insisted she had been a hard worker since childhood. Then, they introduced themselves. The wolf, with impeccable, neatly combed fur, was the oldest brother, named Tio. The one with messy hair was Devin, the younger, and it turns out the boss Kitty sought was their father. The little girl froze. Seeing her face, Devin jokingly asked if they weren't all wolves in this house anyway. Hearing that, Kitty unsheathed her claws in sheer panic. Did they already know she was actually a cat? To avoid making her uncomfortable, the brothers looked away. Kitty used the distraction to dig into the table and hide her claws. Soon, an incredible feast arrived, making her eyes light up. What did she want to eat first? She pointed right at a delicious plate of fish. Tio looked at Devin with an I-knew-it smirk. Naturally, a wolf pup choosing fish. Kitty had never tasted such a wonderful delicacy in her entire life. She was so distracted that her little ears perked up and her tail popped out. Suddenly, absolute terror seized her. A cat's tail is completely different. If they saw it, things would end very badly. She quickly hid her tail, terrified they might have noticed the bitten tip from when a piece was torn off long ago. Teo watched her quietly before discussing where she should stay. What do you think is going to happen next? Get ready, because you and I are about to witness the sweetest manhwa adoption ever. Both brothers just reached the exact same logical conclusion. Meanwhile, Kittia was terrified they had uncovered her secret and were going to eat her. But the brothers actually wanted to adopt her as their baby sister. After all, their father was the leader of the wolf tribe. To make this official, they just had to convince their mother. They knew exactly what she kept hidden, and they knew she desperately wanted a daughter. Little Kitty couldn't help but wonder why they were staring at her so intensely. Teo explained that he found it adorable how her ears perked up while eating. Didn't everyone's ears do that? That question made the brothers exchange a quick look before nodding. They used to do it too as kids, but forgot as they grew up. Relieved, Kittia finally lowered her guard. But right then, Teo shyly asked if he could touch her little ears. Even though it was a bold request, he had been so kind that she agreed. The moment Teo touched her ear, a wave of pure happiness hit her. Seeing his brother's joyful face, Devon got curious and gently petted her too, experiencing that same wonderful feeling. As they kept petting her, they wondered aloud when their parents would get home so they could share the big news. Their only goal was to make this adoption official as soon as possible. Right then, Kittia shyly asked them about their father. Their father was Zakar, the most powerful wolf of all. He looked absolutely terrifying, but deep down he loved his family fiercely. Now, listen closely, even the toughest warriors trembled just hearing his name. Seeing Kitty panic, Tiao quickly switched to talking about their mother, Karis. She was a former knight captain who wished with all her soul to finally have a daughter. As Kitty took this all in, Tiao made an offer. "You're so small and have nowhere to go. Would you like to join our family?" Kitty knew that accepting meant being safe from all danger. But while she hesitated, the terrifying Zakar suddenly returned to the mansion. Teo immediately scooped Kitty up and ran to the entrance. Zakar's cold stare made her shake, but she managed a terrified greeting. "I'm a strong little wolf named Kittia, and I heard that Lord Gruwolf gives jobs to poor and homeless wolves." Even though Zakar was completely confused, he took her tiny hand. He told her she was too young to work and would be sent to a safe sanctuary. Instantly, both brothers stepped right in between her and their father. "This little one looks sweet now, but she'll be a fierce wolf. She might scare the other weak animals in the forest." Zakar couldn't make heads or tails of this, but looking at Kitty's adorable little face, he couldn't bring himself to ruin her lie. But when the boys begged him to adopt her, he flatly refused. "Did you and I see that coming?" Just when the little one thought she'd be kicked out, a woman appeared from behind and suddenly yanked away her blanket. It was Karis, the boy's mother. Seeing Kitty, she couldn't help but ask what such a tiny girl was doing in their home. Just as Kitty feared the absolute worst, Karis materialized right behind her, startling the poor girl so much she jumped. Teo and Devon grabbed the little girl's hands and explained to their mother that she was a tough wolf pup named Kitty. She came to our house because she heard we offered jobs to other wolves who have nowhere else to go. Summoning all her courage, Kitty reached out her tiny hand to greet Lady Karis, who shook it despite her somewhat stern expression. Desperate to avoid rejection, Kitty offered to sing or clean the chimneys if needed, anything just to avoid being cast out. "Please, let me work here. I promise I'll work incredibly hard and I won't get in your way at all." Seeing the girl cry, Karis knelt down to gently comfort her, telling her to dry her tears and go take a bath. Even though Kitty started to calm down, fear struck again as she entered the bathroom, shyly greeting the maid waiting inside. "I'm Kitty, a little wolf who is about to start working here." Gray, the maid, assured her that the mistress was incredibly kind, even giving employment to a slow, older woman like herself. Kitty asked to bathe alone and tried splashing some water, but Gray wouldn't allow a half-done job and knelt to help. Her clothes were so torn they were completely ruined. When the maid went to discard them, Kitty begged her to save just one button. As she combed through Kitty's hair, let's find out together how Gray reacts when she realizes the poor girl has nothing but these tattered rags. The young masters ordered a room and clothes for Kitty, and then Gray led her straight to the bath. The poor girl nearly flinched, stepping into the water from her stinging wounds, but right then, a strange scent caught Gray's attention. In a panic, the little one quickly hid her tail, claiming she just hadn't taken a bath in a really long time. Suddenly, a rubber duck floated in the tub, a sweet gift Kitty had received earlier from Lady Karis. With her little duck, she finished her bath in peace, and putting on the fresh clothes Karis made, she went from looking like a stray to a princess. Right at that very moment, Gray walked over. Pay attention here, she feared being exposed, but he only praised her eyes, so she claimed she came from far away. As he treated her wounds, she remembered her mother saying her eyes were as clear as green meadows and peaceful lakes. Seeing her thick, heavy hair, Gray assumed that Kitty must have come from the freezing northern lands. But Kitty did not know for sure, only remembering the icy wind and having absolutely no firewood. Hearing this, Gray felt incredibly sorry for her. After finally cleaning her up, Gray gently patted her forehead and left, wishing her luck. The massive room was now empty, except for Kitty. Seeing the incredibly soft, fluffy bed, her heart raced with excitement as she dashed right toward it. Her own reflection in the mirror caught her eye. Her hair did not look like a wolf's at all. Searching around, she found some towels, wrapped her head, and let out those cute little ears Tio and Devon had praised so much. Kitty tucked the button from her old clothes under her pillow and finally lay down, thinking how wonderful it would be to stay a few days. Sadly, Zakar and Karis did not seem to like her. Watch closely because she got out of bed to ask them again, while Karis interrogated her sons about what was happening. They just smiled happily, thinking that having such a cute little sister would make life in the mansion much more peaceful. Karis was deeply worried. Teo, Devon, how can you say something so irresponsible? She spoke with an annoyed tone, explaining that 12 years ago, the blue moon of creation myths suddenly appeared in leopard territory. Many leopards rushed to see the divine object upon hearing of its arrival, and that is where the disaster began. The magic of that blue moon drove the beastmen completely mad, causing them to attack uncontrollably in their wild forms. Now, the leopards controlling the blue moon are experimenting to drag other beasts into that very same madness. If a similar rebellion ever broke out among the wolves, nobody could guarantee a little kitten's safety. But Father just admitted that Kitty is actually a wolf. Karis's anger silenced Zakar, who knew his wife was terrified for Kitty. The night the lunar power awakened, he and his wife fought all night long. Out of their 3 children back then, 1 did not survive. Under immense pressure from their enemies, they had to bury their lost child right in that very place. Even today, guilt completely consumes Karis. Right then, Zakar spotted Kitty fast asleep right by the door. Now, you and I know Karis would always remember her lost child seeing a girl, but she could never abandon Kitty. She decided to become her temporary family, protecting the little one until she could stand on her own. The next morning, Kitty woke up happily on her mat, greeted by the sweet, warm smile of Madame Karis right there. Remembering she had fallen asleep by the door, the little one realized with absolute terror she was in her cat form. She tried to explain herself frantically, but Karis acted completely normal, as if she noticed nothing strange at all. Laughing about not seeing a wolf cub in years, Kitty sighed in relief, thinking Karis's scowl yesterday was just from her being tiny. Kitty bounced happily off the blanket. She had to act mature, become independent, and avenge her mother, but next she was being cuddled and petted in Karis's arms, wearing a look of pure bliss as Karis gently massaged her soft little paws. Karis finally understood why Devon called her a fluffy thing. Yesterday, she was only upset seeing how horribly thin the child was. From now on, she would cook delicious meals, so Kitty would grow up strong, healthy, and nicely plump. Kitty clarified her real name was Kittia, but she would be so happy if she just called her Kitty. On her way to the dining room, Kittia wondered about that phrase. Did it mean adoption or just a job? Looking at her reflection in the window, she knew she did not look like a wolf. Soon they would find out, and she would have to leave. Seeing Kitty enter the grand dining hall, both brothers immediately stood up to greet her. They had panicked finding her room empty that morning, fearing she had left them. Soon, the feast was served. It was filled with Kitty's favorite dishes, like shrimp and salmon, alongside a massive pudding for dessert. Kitty thought it must be a mistake, as Zakar's dessert was tiny. Karis told her to eat all she wanted and return whenever she felt hungry. Remembering how those wicked cats forbade her from eating, Kitty believed she looked like a wolf, and trust me, you and I want to see how long this adorable lie lasts. Get ready, because today we are going to see how a tiny orphan gets an offer that will change her life forever. Kitty glanced at Zakar, amazed that someone so cold actually agreed, but after thinking it over, she turned the offer down. She could not forget her own kind and feared disappointing the gray wolves, but Karis gently stepped in to comfort her. Do not force yourself to erase them from your mind. That is simply impossible to do. They will always live in your heart and want you safe and happy. Seeing her sadness, Tiao gently wiped away her tears, yet guilt consumed her. Her mother lay beneath the cold earth while she was about to live a wonderful, beautiful life. So, Kara suggested holding a funeral for her family, reassuring her that after giving them a proper farewell, the souls of animals travel to a happy place. They would be fine in heaven, so she should not feel guilty. Kitty had never heard of such a thing, and asked Zakar if the rivers there had pieces of fresh salmon. Everyone was incredibly kind, filling her little heart with immense joy. But how could they hold a funeral when her father and brother had died on a dangerous mission far north? Zakar's expression shifted as he remembered something. She mentioned both were named Icarus, and he looked at her with deep pity. Now pay attention here, just as the tension rises. Kitty decides to change the subject and mention her mother. She remembered her mother was buried in cat territory, and that she died expecting 3 little kittens who were never born. Kitty suddenly panicked. Would she really have to dig up her mother's body just to say goodbye to her? Seeing her distress, Karis explained that loving thoughts were what mattered. It would be beautiful to draw portraits of her family. So Tio and Devon took her to her room for drawing supplies, while Karis prepared the candles and flowers. Right at the entrance, a wolf carving on the doorknob completely startled poor little Kitty. "We are holding your hands, so we cannot open it," the brothers teased, highly amused by the girl's cute reaction. Inside, Tiao dismissed the maid and assured Kitty that soon she would have her very own personal staff available. Devon lifted her onto a cushion, surprised by how light she was, inviting her to visit them often for delicious treats. She happily agreed, though Devon felt a bit disappointed when the little girl did not call him Big Brother as desired. Kitty began drawing with deep focus, and without realizing it, her little tail started wagging happily with every single stroke. The 2 boys held back their laughter behind her, prompting her to crossly explain that this was completely normal for kittens. Just then, Karis had some desserts brought in. Even though the girl was still huffy, she ended up taking a few bites. Looking at the paper, Tiao curiously asked what her parents were like. She replied that her mother was incredibly sweet. She would hug me tight and call me Cotton Ball. My father and brother were heroes who protected everyone. They were barely ever home because of their missions, but they always brought gifts. I feel so sad for those 3 unborn babies. Since they never got to be born, she didn't know how to draw them. Honestly, this moment just breaks your heart. With their permission granted, she stepped away to capture her beloved family exactly as they lived on in her memories. With every stroke, she remembered their faces, wishing them peaceful rest. By nightfall, the drawing was already lovingly framed. Karis praised her wonderful talent and took her hand to leave, while the brothers excused themselves for other duties. Out in the hallway, Karis revealed that she would be sleeping in a different room than the night before. This one also had a wolf carving on the knob. Inside, a confused Kitty asked Zakar the reason for this sudden change. Then she understood. That specific carving on the doorknob was reserved only for official members of the prestigious wolf clan. Despite being just a temporary guest, the little girl felt deeply touched by such a beautiful, thoughtful gesture. They had even brought her favorite pillow. Suddenly, Tiao and Devon came bursting right into the room. They handed her a small box with 3 tiny candles and flowers dedicated to her unborn siblings. The emotional funeral began. Kitty quietly sent them her sincere blessings, waiting alongside her new family until the flames finally went out completely. Amazingly, all 6 flowers bloomed at the exact same time, proving that her baby siblings were now resting safely in heaven. With her heart at peace, they gathered the melted wax remains to bury them together in the mansion's garden. After the ceremony, Zakar placed a delicate pendulum right on the spot where the candles had burned, a magical charm meant to protect the portrait and the flowers. Though he seemed cold, deep down he cared immensely for her. Afterward, they moved to Zakar's office, which featured a large, beautiful portrait of the entire Grey Wolf family. They teased Zakar for being the most handsome wolf, but Kitty called them beautiful brothers too. A truly heartwarming ending, isn't it? Trust me, you are going to love this. Hidea's compliment makes the boys blush, and little Kittia carefully writes down her name. Karis praises her lovely handwriting before they move on to the adoption papers that they must review before signing. The page is covered in tiny, confusing letters, and Kittia stares at it, only able to recognize her own name. She could not understand anything else. Karis gently pulls the paper away, reassuring her that it is totally normal since neither Teo nor Devon can read yet. So he reads it word for word, and Kittia complains that the scary wolf doorknob on her door is way too terrifying. Once she hears Zakar will replace it, she happily admits she has absolutely no other issues with the agreement. Time to leave her print, and look, she transforms into a tiny kitten right in front of them. The brothers are completely speechless at the cute sight. Karis lifts her up, dips her paw in red ink, and presses it down. From that very moment, little Kitty was officially a member of the powerful Grey Wolf family. Next, Karis introduces her to the staff before leaving for the Wolf Council, because as much as he loves having a daughter, duty comes first. Kitty understands perfectly, though she originally thought they were going out to hunt. Karis has to leave early tomorrow, promising to bring her a gift and find a proper tutor upon his return. With some perfect tutors already in mind, he introduces her to the estate staff, starting with the head housekeeper, Flora, the butler, Paul Clinton, the head chef, Mina, and Elliot, the night captain who serves as Zakar's right hand. Suddenly, keep your eyes on the crowd. Kitty feels someone staring intensely, and a strange young man steps forward to introduce himself. His name is Cade, heir of the Fox clan, and he immediately starts questioning the little girl's true identity. He points out how tiny she is, asking if she is really a wolf, which panics her as she tries to hide her cat ears. She is terrified because she knows a fox's sharp sense of smell could easily expose her and get her kicked out. In a moment of pure, desperate panic, the little girl grabs Clay's hand and bites down hard. Elliot steps in to stop Clay from being rude. Clay tries to argue, but one cold glare from Zakar forces him to apologize. This felt incredibly strange to Kitty, since foxes and wolves usually do not get along well at all. Now, you might be asking the same thing I did. Why are foxes here? They are seeking temporary shelter from the leopards. After that, Karis assigns her a personal maid. It is Gray, the maid who helped bathe her yesterday, and Kitty is absolutely thrilled to see a familiar face. She says goodnight to everyone, and when she reaches her room, she notices the scary wolf doorknob has been replaced with a cute design. Once inside, just as Kitty is about to dive into bed, Gray suddenly scoops her right back up. Learning she needs a bath before bed, the little girl kicks and struggles with all her might. Gray explains they are tailoring her new clothes tomorrow, and looking flawless is crucial when hosting important guests. That reluctantly convinces Kitty, but the moment she steps into the bathroom, she is completely blown away. Devon and Tio prepared a special bubble bath just for her, and Kitty happily splashes around with her toy duck. Half asleep, Kitty asks Gray what will happen to all the fox beastkin who have recently arrived at the mansion. Gray replies that if she wants to know, she will have to ask her future tutor directly, as she is not authorized to speak on it, but she is happy to sing her any lullabies she wants. Meanwhile, Cade is tossing and turning in his own bed, completely unable to fall asleep. He knows he is key to his scattered fox clans, whose high magical sensitivity drew the leopards, forcing them to seek shelter with the wolves. So let's think about this together. Why would the powerful gray wolves take on the massive risk of protecting a mere cat? And what is more, the fact that a cat? Prepare yourself, because today we are seeing an incredible tale. Her daring bite made Clay highly suspicious of this unusual little cat. The next morning, when the little one wakes up, Gray is already there, praising her for rising so early despite her young age. The little girl proudly declares she is already a grown-up, and soon, Gray serves up her breakfast. Bacon, fresh salmon, delicious pastries, and warm milk. Kitty can hardly believe how incredibly luxurious this all is. In the cat territory, if you did not work, you did not eat, and Kitty had started working at age 3. That memory cuts deep. She must eat well, grow up fast, and ultimately avenge her mother's tragic death. After breakfast, Gray fixes her hair. Since it is so damaged, they decide it is best to trim the split ends. The little girl panicked, thinking she would end up bald, but Gray was an expert and gave her a lovely, gentle trim. Since there was still some time before the tailor arrived, Gray told Kitty she could go out and play. But she had never played before. Running around like that would only make her starving hungry, and she knew it. Gray reassured her that food was endless in the Wolf Mansion, and she only had to visit the dining hall whenever she wanted. Trust me on this one. She never had to worry again as Gray dressed her in clothes Karis spent a fortune on. The budget easily eclipsed both brothers' entire wardrobes combined, and a designer was coming that afternoon to take her measurements. Hearing all this made Kitty feel incredibly guilty. She was just an adopted daughter, yet they were spending so much. Gray told her not to worry. Seeing her look precious would make Lady Karis overjoyed. Besides, since the lady was still at the estate, Kitty could show off her new outfit in person. Meanwhile, Karis gave her final instructions before leaving, demanding they take great care of the little girl and stay out of trouble. Right then, Kitty came running over. Seeing her in that adorable new outfit, everyone instantly fell in love with her. Realizing Kitty came to say goodbye, Karis wrapped her in a tight, emotional hug. She then ordered Zakar to protect her daughter, giving the little girl a sweet kiss on the cheek. Seeing this, Kitty lined up right behind Zakar. When Karis did not react, the girl asked if this was not the kiss line. Karis wanted to squeeze her so badly, she almost packed the child in her suitcase for her business trip. After waving goodbye, Kitty suddenly overheard Zakar mention something about a blue moon. Back at her old home, her job was inspecting the blue moon. Zakar noticed her staring and asked what she would do today. The little girl understood he was asking out of pure kindness. After sharing her plans, she asked about his, but he responded in a freezing tone that he was busy. Her brothers quickly comforted her, saying their dad was actually super sweet and would explain if she asked him again. Zakar clarified he would spend the entire day in his office, which sounded precisely like saying he was busy. I bet you smiled at this too. Tiao explained that meant she could play in his office whenever she wanted. Later, Kitty told Gray she wanted to go for a walk, and both brothers eagerly volunteered to guide her. Gray handed her a box of cookies, reminding her to return in time for lunch and the afternoon dress fitting. The boys first took her to the grand banquet hall, where the family dined with prestigious guests. Right next door was the ballroom. Devon offered to teach her to dance, which did not please Tiao at all. He insisted that, as the older brother, he had to go first. Next, they headed to the truly massive garden. Teo decided to show her the east side first, home to a huge orchard and a gorgeous sea of wildflowers. It was the chef's favorite spot. Kitty was mesmerized by giant strawberries that looked incredibly sweet, juicy, and fresh. Seeing her cute face, Devon picked a bunch for her, promising they wouldn't get in trouble if nobody caught them. But the gardener, Philip, caught them. After greeting them formally, he asked Kitty directly if she liked the garden's strawberries. Seeing her shake her head, Philip apologized deeply, claiming this year's harvest wasn't good enough to satisfy her refined royal palate. Kitty quickly assured him they were incredibly sweet, realizing too late she had just exposed herself, but he didn't mind. He even gifted her a whole basketful, inviting her to come back for more strawberries whenever she wanted a sweet treat. After all, everything they planted there was grown exclusively for their precious new little lady to enjoy. On their way back, Kitty thought being a gardener here would be nice, but Tio insisted her only real job was looking adorable. And honestly, if looking cute is her job, she is working overtime. Stick with me to see what they find at the mysterious monument. They approached this Gru family monument, which was engraved with the names of the wolves who fell during the blue moon. Kitty bowed her head respectfully. Just then, an elegant carriage entered the mansion gates. It had to be the tailor's with her custom clothes. Worried, Devon asked Kitty if her feet were hurting from walking. Even though an old injury was acting up, little Kitty bravely shook her head no. Teo noticed she was just acting strong and warned her the dress fitting would be exhausting, so she needed to rest. Devon got the hint and instantly shifted into a massive gray wolf. Kitty went pale, but Teo gently placed her on his back, explaining that powerful beastmen can grow to giant sizes. You and I definitely need to see what happens next. Since his father possessed such immense power, his wolf form was absolutely colossal, and so Tiao and Kitty rode Devon all the way back to the mansion. Meanwhile, a maid led the dress designers into a grand room to wait. Realizing their infiltration had succeeded, one of them let out a deeply sinister smirk. You and I need to watch closely, because on her very first day with the wolves, little Kitty became the family favorite, and now the designers are here. Unfortunately, Lady Karis, the one who actually knew about fashion, was out today. So Kitty went to seek Zakar's opinion instead, running into Elliot, his second-in-command, along the way. Kitty shyly confessed she would love it if Zakar could join her during the dress fitting. Elliot looked a bit hesitant, explaining Lord Zakar was incredibly busy, but promised to deliver the message. Meanwhile, back in the room, the designers greeted Gray the maid. The Vera couple was absolutely thrilled to create beautiful garments for Lady Karis. Kitty, worried they had not noticed her because of her tiny size, stepped forward, bowed, and introduced herself. She announced she was Kitty, a small but strong wolf protected by the great Gru family. After she spoke, absolute silence fell over the room. Suddenly, Mrs. Vera leaned in to admire Kitty closely, promising to put her entire heart and soul into designing her wardrobe. She asked if she could call her Lady Kitty, and when Kitty happily agreed, Mrs. Vera playfully smacked her husband in pure excitement. Next, they displayed a massive variety of outfits for her to choose from, leaving the little girl completely dazzled by the choices. Hearing that the Veras loved dressing up dolls, Kitty quietly wondered if she would end up looking like a toy herself. Just then, the designer asked about her favorite style, suggesting a pair of riding pants that were currently very trendy. Kitty thought they looked comfortable, but she worried about how to hide her tail, so she politely declined the offer, explaining she preferred skirts with lots of ruffles. The more complex, the better. After that, they showed her several fabric samples. Now, you and I both know Kitty preferred a ripe peach shade, but the designer insisted she looked adorable, and their hands touched as she took the fabric. Mrs. Vera could not believe that human hands could feel so incredibly soft. Right then, a commotion broke out at the door. The two brothers were bothering Zakar, begging to watch Kitty try on her clothes. Kitty was absolutely thrilled to see them, and soon, the father and his sons began looking over the design sketches together. Meanwhile, Kitty wandered off to look at the accessories. One of them immediately reminded her of Jerian, the wicked cat from her painful past. The salesman offered her a hat to try on, and noticing she liked it, he immediately pulled out a bill and started quoting the price. The massive string of zeros on the price tag completely shocked Kitty, but the man whispered that she only had to ask Gray. He was certain the Grewolves would not spare any expense if their precious little favorite liked something, claiming that such a massive olivine gem suited her high status, and no one would suspect a thing, even if she was just an insignificant little mouse. Kitty was not quite sure if he had uncovered her secret, but she calmly made it clear that if they bought it, they would need to cut off at least 3 zeros, since it was just painted glass, not a real gem. Kitty tossed it aside and walked away. Trust me, I know exactly how she feels, as Zakar watched from the corner while Kitty fumed over this shameless scammer trying to cheat her. In her past life, Jerian specialized in replacing genuine, priceless gems with cheap, identical replicas. Kitty's job had been to spot the fakes. She did not understand her gift, but she knew Jerian, who had exploited her and tortured her mother, was an absolute monster. Right then, Gray called her over to try on the next outfit. Dressed in her new outfit, Kitty looked as precious as a porcelain doll, completely charming the entire family while falling in love with the look herself. To her surprise, Zakar had prepared far more designs than she expected, and Kitty tried on outfit after outfit, absolutely dazzling everyone in the room. Zakar gave Mrs. Vera a subtle signal, making Kitty worry that he did not actually like the dress. When Zakar asked how she felt, she replied that everything was incredibly comfortable and beautiful, admitting she especially loved the shoes and the brooch. She added that out of everything, this current outfit was her favorite. Zakar nodded in agreement, and he was not finished yet. He decided to buy 5 copies of each dress and practically empty the store, causing poor Kitty's cute little face to twist in pure shock. When she worried she might outgrow them too quickly, his response was simple: they would just order more when the time came. Besides, did you not just say that the one you are wearing is your favorite? With that, Zakar ordered matching clothes for the entire Grey Wolf family. But when the bill arrived, Kitty sneaked a peek at the total and nearly fainted from seeing such an astronomical price tag. Her conscience would never recover if she somehow ended up bankrupting the Grey Wolves. But as you and I can see, Zakar assured her they still had plenty of budget left before they all finally exited the room. Zakar then gently asked Kitty if she had eaten anything yet, and counting on her tiny fingers, she mentioned having lots of strawberries and cookies. Let's dive right back in as Zakar announced he was returning to his office, his eyes locked onto Kitty. Though the little girl was quite confused, her two brothers stepped up to hint that their dad spent all day there, surely preparing a beautiful surprise for her. Kitty understood immediately and asked Zakar if she could play in his office. Zakar picked her up and carried her inside, where she noticed the room looked quite different from her very first visit. Right next to his desk sat a crib her brothers once used, and Kitty mentioned she had many questions for him later. Zakar didn't mind, but told her they needed to measure her height first. He led her to a bookshelf marked with her brother's childhood heights, and suddenly, Kitty felt incredibly safe and warm. She believed she wasn't that small, but pay close attention. Kitty stood on tiptoes with all her might, yet still fell way short. When Zakar revealed she was the exact same height as Tio and Devon at age 4, the little girl was completely shocked. Kitty's true identity was slowly starting to surface. Just moments ago, Zakar brought her to his office where she spotted a box on his desk, remembering Elliot mentioned it that morning. In that exact moment, Zakar noticed her curiosity and quickly blocked her view with his hand, explaining that the box held emotion-altering gems, so she must never look at them lightly. Seeing her intrigue, Zakar explained it was a replica made with blue moon magic, which likely wouldn't affect such a special girl. Suddenly, the little girl remembered her late mother, confessing that she possessed a highly unique and special power. Hearing this, Zakar grew deeply pensive and made her promise never to tell anyone, since greedy humans always crave the extraordinary and would hunt that power. If they couldn't have it, they would destroy it. You might be wondering the same thing, as Kitty then asked if he knew her father, whom he had only heard of. Hearing that, Kitty's voice cracked as she burst into tears, begging Zakar to tell her at least a little bit about him. Zakar pulled out a handkerchief to wipe her tears, comforting her with a promise to tell her everything once she grew up. But seeing her look so incredibly sad and wounded, he simply could not resist. He spoke of a goddess's famous song and the blue moon sapphire necklace which could drive beastmen completely insane. Kitty couldn't believe something so terrifying was inside that box, but Zakar reassured her it was now locked in a magic-blocking chest. And from what he knew, a father and son named Icarus were actively researching the mystery of the blue moon. Kitty froze. Her mother always called them heroes, but this was her first time hearing about their quest for a legendary gem. Realizing Zakar wouldn't say more, Kitty buried herself in a book, wishing she could grow up faster to uncover the truth. Shortly after, Kitty yawned out of sheer boredom. As she watched Zakar focusing meticulously on his work, she couldn't help but picture Karis working too, when Zakar suddenly noticed her cat ears had popped out. She was about to hide them when Zakar teased that he wanted to bite them, totally startling the poor little girl. But he clarified that in the Grey Wolf family, this gesture was actually a deep sign of genuine affection. Kitty reassured herself that, as a little wolf pup, she had absolutely nothing to fear. She hopped onto the desk, bravely offering her head like a tragic hero, yet the pain she expected never came. Instead, Zakar gave her a gentle pat, remaining deeply absorbed in his paperwork for the rest of the afternoon. By midnight, Kitty was fast asleep in the cozy crib they had lovingly prepared just for her. He had stopped the story halfway to avoid upsetting her, but ancient records said the beasts pulling the goddess's carriage were cats. Certain blessed felines were completely immune to magic, and to be recognized by the goddess, their family inherited the name Icarus through generations. Though she is barely as big as his hand, she will be the ultimate key to solving this entire mystery. Zakar wondered if this was all a divine plan, as Kitty finally woke up and headed back to her room. She was so excited to tell Gray that she slept near Zakar and even received a sweet gift. Right then, a letter arrived for Lady Kitty. By the next morning, her brothers were studying hard together. Suddenly, Kitty walked in, holding several letters, and seeing her eagerness to learn, her brothers joined her instantly. It turns out those letters from last night were actually from Karis. He missed his daughter so much that he told everyone about her, leaving them all eager to meet her. So Karis planned a tea party, and trust me, you and I won't mind her adorable messy handwriting at all. Let's dive in. The only thing that truly mattered was sending those invitations with absolute sincerity. Her brothers got it instantly. She wanted to learn how to write invitations for her own party. Starting with the basics, Kitty carefully traced every letter. Then, Devon made her copy some difficult words. Teo noticed something fishy. Sneaking over, he saw the little rascal made her write that Devon is the oldest brother. But surprisingly, Teo chose not to make a scene about it. After all, it was harmless. When wolves reached a certain age, they had to travel far to train, and she would write to them often. Just then, Kitty asked what happened at parties. Hearing there would be dancing, she got super excited. Since they had no plans that day, the brothers decided to host a practice tea party with her. Sitting down at the table, Kitty was immediately mesmerized by all the delicious desserts. Teo warned her not to eat yet, explaining that tea and sweets were meant for polite conversation. Kitty did not fully get it, but she understood the concept. Chit-chat first, so she asked about shedding season. Do you brush your fur every day? Devon lost it and spat his tea right on her head. Afterwards, Teo quickly changed the subject, praising the gorgeous invitation she had written all by herself. Hearing that praise, Kitty got super thrilled and happily started babbling away with joy. Teo corrected her, but watch closely here, because she actually had a much bigger worry on her mind. She was terrified her ears would pop out. Devon suggested wearing a nice hat to hide them. Normally, though, a skilled wolf's ears only show up when they experience incredibly intense emotions. Wolves only have one mate for life, and when they find them, their ears pop out completely involuntarily. And I bet you're wondering if someone's ears will ever pop out just for her. The brothers immediately had the same thought. They would never let any guy near their precious little sister. Kitty finally got a tutor, but he was incredibly rude and exposed her secret cat identity right away. During practice, Teo and Devon agreed they would never let her get close to Eden under any circumstances. Just mentioning his name was enough to make Devon furious. Kitty did not understand this anger, but Teo cut in by slapping Devon to shut him up. As we both know, their families were close, so the brothers naturally tried to get along with Eden. But since he found them highly annoying, he told them he did not associate with unintelligent people. Just then, Gray announced that Karis had returned, so they excitedly ran to welcome her at the entrance. The moment Karis stepped out of the carriage, her entire family was already eagerly waiting outside. Kitty lined up behind Zakar. When asked what she was doing, she said she was queuing like a polite wolf. Touched, Zakar let her take his spot. Kitty then ran straight into Karis's arms to share her practice. Hugging Kitty, Karis simply could not resist giving her a playful, loving little nibble. Kitty puffed out her cheeks, offering her face. Karis cupped her cheeks, kissed her sweetly, and gave her a gift. Spotting a massive box nearby, Kitty's eyes sparkled as she imagined how cozy it would be to sleep inside. Karis picked her up so she could peek inside. The box was crammed with items of every single size. She absolutely adored the colored pencils. Since she always borrowed them from her brothers, Karis bought her this set. Kitty picked out only a few pencils from the giant box. Karis thought she disliked the rest. Kitty loved them all but struggled to choose. Well, just take them all. So we leave her there, happy but terribly worried about how expensive they all look. Let's see together if she ends up breaking the bank. Though her brothers quickly told her to accept everything. The Gruel family was practically swimming in money, so there was no need to limit herself to favorite colors. Only then did she hug the pencils like a treasure. That was when Karis revealed she would meet her tutor at tea. He was a genius wolf from the Vivis family, and if Kitty managed to get along with him, she would learn a lot. But her brothers instantly panicked, knowing that this guy, Eden, was incredibly arrogant. If they left Kitty with him, he would tease her like he did them, leaving her completely heartbroken. Karis calmed them down. It had been less than 4 years since Eden lost his mother to leopards, causing him to isolate. Trust me on this one, they knew he was harmless, but listening nearby, Kitty was absolutely worried sick. Sure, he might be a brilliant teacher, but his terrible attitude was another story. Soon, the big tea party day finally arrived. As Gray brushed Kitty's hair, she brought up Eden. Word was, both he and his mother, Lady Vivis, were absolute prodigies. Tragically, his mother passed away during the chaos of the Blue Moon Rampage just 4 years ago. Kitty remembered a leopard had torn off her own mother's tail. Having lost his mom, Eden probably despised leopards just as much. Suddenly, Kitty had an idea. "Mrs. Gray, could you style my hair extra high today?" Soon, the family lined up at the entrance to welcome the Vivis clan leader. He was massive, with a sharp, wolfish gaze. Just looking at him made Kitty's knees shake from pure terror. As she introduced herself with trembling hands, his booming laughter nearly knocked her over, praising how adorable she was, just like Karis promised. Now pay attention here, because a freezing voice suddenly cuts in. "What kind of cowardly wolf are you?" It was Eden. His icy stare made Kitty shrink. "I heard you're the little runt the Gru wolves are keeping around on a temporary basis." His harsh emphasis on that word temporary left her completely breathless. Without another word, Eden turned and walked into the drawing room. The Vivis leader quickly apologized, admitting his son was a bit rough around the edges, but he was glad to see she was a tough little wolf, just as Karis had promised. Back when his mother was alive, Eden was gentle and close with Tio and Devon, but he shut down completely after. I suggested him as your tutor. The leopards are gaining too much power, and I have to go deal with them once again. I hated leaving him behind, so I figured he would be safe here with the Gru clan while teaching you. Just then, Karis called for snack time and asked Kitty to act as the hostess for the children's table. I know what you are thinking. And yes, she threw on a sun hat. Terrified, her ears would blow her cover. A few maids were setting the table, absolutely thrilled when Kitty greeted each of them warmly by name. Hearing her brothers and Eden were coming, Kitty offered to help out with the final table decorations right away. Right then, Eden spotted her. She waved happily from afar, but he just walked straight past without a glance. Kitty asked if he disliked her, but he coldly noted that weaklings should only focus on staying alive. Spurred by his words, Kitty shouted back that she would get incredibly strong to avenge her mother. His reply froze her blood instantly. Oh, really? Is that why a cat is pretending to be a wolf? Her secret was out again. The poor girl scrambled for excuses, but Eden did not believe a single word. How did he know when nobody else did? The rumors were true. Eden was a genuine prodigy among wolves. If he exposed her now, her life would be over. So, she decided to play on his soft side. She hid her cat identity and sought refuge with the Gru pack solely to avenge her family and unborn siblings. Why not just crawl back to your own territory and hide? Would not that be safer for you? Because my mother did not want me hiding in the mountains. Every time I sleep, I hear her sweet voice. She said if I was happy, she would be too, and since the Gru wolves honored my family, I chose to grow up here. For a split second, Eden's eyes softened, likely remembering his own mother. Kitty seized her chance and grabbed his hand. Please, do not tell a soul that I am a cat. Eden looked away, trying to hide his hesitation. Kitty kept pleading with a sad, fragile little face, a helpless kitty whom leopards would devour instantly if thrown out. Are you threatening me? He asked, which she denied immediately. Eden let out a quiet chuckle and sat down. Soon the brothers arrived, and Devon scolded him for showing up so early. Though Kitty was secretly furious, she played along. Honestly, you and I both know this is about to get so good. Like, how on earth did the frosty Eden suddenly turn so pleasant? Did he threaten you, Kidia? After a quiet pause, Kidia denied it, but that only raised her brother's suspicions. Devon warned him not to try anything with her. With the party underway, Tiao asked Kidia to present the desserts. Hearing this, Kidia got incredibly excited. But Eden just had to comment that she seemed to love milk a bit too much. Kidia froze up instantly, her twitching cat ears pushing her hat straight up. Her protective brothers leaped to her defense right away, arguing that a little wolf-loving milk is completely normal, and Eden was just embarrassing her when she worked so hard alone. Come along with me to see how Zachar and Karis closely watched the children's table. The stoic Zachar pointed this out to leader Vibus, who found it completely normal, noting that wolf instincts always drive them toward those they care about. Hearing that, the couple panicked instantly. Leader Vivby quickly clarified he only meant that little Kidia was absolutely adorable. Zachar and Karis completely agreed with that, though he still couldn't take his eyes off the children's table. Seeing Kidia's sad little face, Zachar knew he had to step in. In a flash, he teleported and grabbed Eden's head. How is my kitty's tea tasting? The leader of the Vibus family couldn't help but laugh. He understood the protective fatherly instinct to keep other boys away, but didn't expect Zachar to act like this after just 1 month. He wondered which poor soul would end up falling for Kidia in the future. The brothers teased Eden for his sheer embarrassment. When they returned, Zachar carried Kidia in his arms while Karis formally introduced her. This is my baby daughter, Kitty. The moment reminded Leader Vibus of when he and his wife eagerly awaited their own child. Kitty bowed and introduced herself, instantly brightening up the entire room. Everyone adored her instantly, especially the ladies, who nearly squealed with excitement while touching her tiny hands. At first, leader Vivby thought these wolves were crazy, but you and I see how it is now. Now, he understood that she was an absolute blessing. As night fell, Kitty remained incredibly happy about the wonderful celebration. Her brothers taught her to dance, Zachar and Karis captured the moment with a painter, and in the end, Eden kept her secret. But remembering Eden's harsh glare completely exhausted her. She couldn't spend her whole life trying to soothe him during tutoring sessions. Gray asked what was bothering her. She replied that she couldn't wait to finally grow bigger. If she were big, Eden would never dare expose her secret. Gray told her not to worry and offered to teach her stretching exercises to help. The mere thought of becoming as tall as the imposing Zachar filled Kitty with pure excitement. Gray transformed into a giant wolf to show her, and Kitty copied him, stretching right beside him as a tiny kitten. She wasn't doing this for Eden's sake, but to avenge her mother's memory. She knew growing tall wasn't enough without learning how to fight, so the next morning, Kitty snuck into the training grounds where her brothers practiced with Elliot. Hearing their powerful howls stirred up curiosity and deep longing inside little Kitty. She tried to mimic the sound with her own tiny howl, but her adorable meow was completely out of place. Everyone stared toward the bushes where Kitty hid. As you can imagine, her secret plan to get strong failed in the cutest way. She couldn't help letting out that meow, instantly capturing everyone's attention. Zachar, who was passing by, picked her up, saying a fluffy white cotton ball was pretty hard to miss. Her annoyed little face thoroughly amused her brothers. At her request, Tiao threw a coat over her like a cute magic trick, while the other soldiers shyly approached to say hello. Zachar ordered everyone back to training and asked little Kitya what exactly she was doing in a place like this. It looked like you were trying to copy the wolves' howls. She stuttered, before finally confessing she truly wanted to learn to fight. Even though Zachar refused because she was too tiny, Kitty insisted on training so she could leave the mansion when she came of age. The moment those words left her mouth, the entire room froze. The little one wondered if she had just made a terrible mistake. Her two brothers reminded her that adulthood was a long way off, asking why she was already planning on leaving them behind. After considering it, Zachar asked again if she was truly serious about wanting to train. Kitty opened her tiny mouth to brag that, despite her age, her teeth were already very sharp, leaving Zachar completely speechless. Especially since Tiao and Devon train every day. Hearing that, the three men immediately pictured the adorable tantrums Kitty would throw. Then, the three of them went to discuss it with Elliot, while Kitty's heart pounded with overwhelming excitement. As expected, Elliot ordered her to wake up early tomorrow. From that day on, she would learn the basics under his guidance. Kitty was absolutely thrilled. Could she really teach Jerian a massive lesson in just a matter of days? The next morning, Karis complained about Zachar training the little girl so soon, but the floor was already covered with gear she had bought her. She knew well that if Kitty wanted to learn, nobody could stop her. However, the woman who visited them still made her deeply uneasy. Someone tied to the leopards had actually dared to enter their home, and the hat she gifted Kitty carried a hidden tracking and wiretapping spell that Cade managed to uncover. You definitely don't want to miss what's next. Get ready, because you and I are about to watch this adorable little kitten become the ultimate weakness of an entire wolf clan. Zachar is already investigating the threat, but Karis could not stop worrying. Felines were just far too fragile compared to them. Even though he ordered every wolf in his territory to treat her as an equal, natural instincts do not change that easily. If we tell her we know her secret, she will feel guilty for lying. Right then, a soft knock echoed at the door. Kitty poked her head in, super excited. Since it was her very first day of school, she had woken up extremely early. Karis had some simple gifts ready for her, a tiny wooden sword and sturdy leather boots that were absolutely perfect for her. The little one happily threw herself into his arms, sad that she had nothing to give back. But before Karis could say a word, Kitty planted a sweet kiss on his cheek. Instantly, his fluffy ears popped right up. Everyone knows that werewolves only show their ears during moments of overwhelming emotion. Zakar had not seen Karis react like this in many, many years. He could not comprehend all the excitement. After that, Zakar escorted Kitty to the training grounds. Along the way, they crossed paths with Tio and Devon, and Kitty proudly showed off her new wooden sword. Now, here is the fun part. The brothers noticed that their wolf dad was absolutely dying of jealousy. Zakar transformed into a massive black wolf and announced that he would carry her himself. The two brothers were completely left speechless. They had never received that kind of treatment on their first day. Soon, all three reached the field, riding on Zakar's back. Elliot did not know what to say either. With such massive privileges, was she really just a temporary foster child? Kitty thanked Zakar with a sweet little kiss right on his nose. Immediately, he shifted right back to his human form. Seeing his ears stand straight up with excitement shocked absolutely everyone. And with that, Kitty's first training lesson finally began. Noticing her stiff posture, Elliot was confused. She explained it came from the hard labor she did as a child. Her former captor warned her that if she did not stand straight, he would chop her head off. Seeing Elliot's horror, Kitty realized something was wrong. She bowed her head sadly, ashamed of her posture, but Elliot rushed to assure her that she was simply perfect. He only wished she had learned in a much warmer environment. To decide how to train her properly, Elliot prepared a few tests. He began throwing small balls to see if Kitty could catch them. Incredible, right? Our little girl is super agile and caught every single ball perfectly. Elliot was about to tell her not to overexert herself when she suddenly leaped to the highest point without even running. Knowing that a wolf would never jump like a feline, Elliot swallowed his absolute shock and praised her anyway. It is normal for a wolf pup to be agile. In the end, Kitty excelled in everything except physical strength, so Elliot suggested eating more meat. He also suggested trying out a bow and arrow as a weapon, but Kitty instantly deflated a little bit. She wanted to learn swordsmanship to face Jerian, since that bully always used arrows to threaten other poor cats. Seeing her ears drooping like dry leaves, Elliot gently tried to comfort her, telling her not to lose heart because the clan's very symbol was the bow. Karis's assembly area was called the Central Trial Field, and they kept a legendary bow used by the goddess there. So a weapon with such legendary divine power was nothing to look down on compared to a sword. I know what you are thinking, but Kitty immediately regained her enthusiasm and promised to work her hardest with archery. And, just like that, a week of intense training passed. Every morning, she and Elliot worked hard out on the field, eating a big lunch to regain her energy and spending her afternoons in her brother's room practicing her calligraphy. She worked so hard because she did not want to rely on Eden's mercy, and today was the exact day he was coming to teach. After having some fun with her brothers, Kitty was already heading off to her training session. But right at that moment, Clay dropped to his knees before her, offering to tie her loose shoelaces. Kitty jumped back in pure shock. He had not been nearly this friendly during their first meeting. Clay quickly scrambled to explain that he was only joking. And after tasting a bite from the young lady's fangs, he had completely changed his mind. The young lady is clearly a powerful wolf. I spoke without thinking. Kitty felt flattered, but Elliot intervened, warning Clay to stop wagging his tail at the young lady. You tricky fox, stop pretending to be an innocent 10-year-old. I can hear your devious schemes from miles away. Kitty was completely confused. Do wolves not like tail wagging? Her pure innocence almost made Elliot spit up blood. He could not explain matters of the heart to a little girl. By afternoon, Eden's carriage finally arrived at the mansion. Kitty and her brothers excitedly rushed out to the entrance to welcome him. And that is where we leave things today. While the brothers complain, our sweet Kitty runs to pamper Master Eden. See you next time. Let's dive in and see how Eden completely ignores sweet Kittia just to talk with his assistant. Kittia was absolutely furious. If she wasn't hiding her identity, she'd never stoop this low. Finally, Eden actually looks her way. Are you seriously showering me with compliments just to escape today's tutoring session? Kitty shook her head, leaning in to whisper that she genuinely loved studying with him and had liked him since the very first moment they met. Hearing that, Eden immediately looked away. Kitty got so mad, convinced that he must really, truly detest her. Later, Kitty headed to the study to prepare, plotting how to win Eden over. After all, she had to leave the Wolf mansion once she came of age. Until that day arrived, she needed to absorb every single lesson from Eden to eventually exact her revenge against Gerinian. Right then, Eden walked in and asked if her grumpy face was because she hated the idea of his class. Kittia quickly shook her head. Eden had brought her a children's book, but opening it revealed pages of incredibly dense, advanced text. Her tutor said, "I don't expect you to grasp this entire book, but as your teacher, you need the basics." Kitty was dying of boredom. Now pay attention, because at this slow pace, how will she ever get her revenge? Eden knew this was tough, so he used her favorite food, salmon, as an example. If you have one piece of salmon and I give you another, what happens? Hearing that, Kitty smiled happily, saying she would be overjoyed. Eden just stared out the window, completely giving up on logic. And if you have two pieces of salmon and I take one, what then? Wait, Eden, are you hungry too? It's great that I have two pieces then. Since I also starved when I first came here, I'd love to share with you. Eden pointed to the side, instructing her to first count all the different drawings on the wall. And check this out. While Kitty was busy counting, Eden stared out the window, his face totally red. He's totally falling for her. Right after that, Eden piled on a mountain of homework. Also, seeing her act like a cute little kitten, Eden tried teaching her to behave like a wolf, but Kittia thought she was doing great. Her ears and tail looked exactly like a wolf's. Hearing this, Eden was speechless. You said earlier that you liked me, right? But wolves don't go around expressing affection so freely. Just as Kitty started to explain, Eden cut her off completely. Did you forget what I said so fast? What about saying things like, I want to bite you? Wolves actually say that to cute things. Hearing this, Kitty beamed and told him that if he wanted to bite her, he could do it any time. Suddenly, Eden slammed the table and stormed out of the room. Kitty was left sitting there, completely depressed. She just wanted to be friendly, but everything went wrong. Now, I know what you're thinking. What about her overprotective brothers? Seeing him all red and shaking, they knew something was off and rushed into the study to interrogate Kitty immediately. Did that guy pull a fast one on you? He didn't try to kiss you or anything, right? Once Kitty assured them he hadn't, both brothers could finally breathe a sigh of relief. They warned their sister not to give Eden any false hope, because wolves are incredibly stubborn. She had to tread carefully. Still, despite their own warnings, they couldn't relax and decided they would personally supervise every single lesson from now on. But Eden flatly rejected their plan, claiming they would only be a major distraction, and he even doubled their training so they'd have no free time. A whole month quickly passed since Kitty started studying. One day, she finished her homework completely exhausted. Reviewing it, Eden noted she was tired because she writes and wags her tail simultaneously. Kitty was absolutely thrilled that he recognized her hard work. She'd already fixed her childish way of speaking, though some words were tough due to her teeth. Once fully grown, she'd speak flawlessly. Speaking of growing up, Eden suddenly asked Kitty what her future plans actually were. By then, Kitty would have already left the Wolf mansion. She wanted to hunt down her mother's killer. What about you, Eden? What are your plans for the future? After thinking for a moment, Eden's expression turned incredibly serious. I want to get strong. Knowing Lady Vibis died protecting Eden, Kitty realized their paths were strikingly similar. She comforted Eden, telling him that someone as brilliant as him would undoubtedly become a formidable warrior. Suddenly, her brothers burst in when they should have been training. Kitty accidentally revealed her true form after losing it over some catnip. Not long ago, Kitty's tutoring lesson was abruptly cut short by her rowdy brothers. Without explaining a thing, they announced they were taking her out for fresh air. That's how Tio ended up carrying Kitty outside on his back. Even under these ridiculous circumstances, Eden didn't forget to continue with her daily lesson. She learned from her father's letter that a cunning leopard leads the Leopit family. What do you think happens next? You and I are diving into a world where war is brewing, and Sweet Kitty cannot understand why leopards refuse to live in peace. These leopard men only hunger for total conquest, and by harnessing the massive power of the blue moon, they seek to dominate everyone. Kitty's heart sank as she remembered the terrible incident from 12 years ago, when the bear men cut off all contact with the outside world, while the fox men almost went extinct, seeking refuge with the wolves. When the time came, Lord Zakar and Lady Karis would fight them to the death. Worst of all, a brutal leopard actually tore off little Kitty's tail just 4 years ago. And that madness they displayed was completely different from 12 years ago. Their aggression seemed to target a very specific goal. My father is absolutely certain they have undercover allies hiding in other tribes. Reaching the memorial, she worried that if they failed to stop the leopards, another monument would be built very soon. Just the terrifying thought of seeing the Gruel family suffer filled Kitty with absolute rage. Devon rushed over to comfort her, promising his parents took special precautions and the leopards would never invade their home. To stop them, they planted catmint across the hills. But watch closely, because right after saying this, Devon realizes something absolutely terrible. Kitty, who was riding on top of Tio, had completely vanished. After a desperate search, the three finally found little Kadia. She had transformed into a tiny, adorable kitten and was happily rolling around on the green grass. A panicked Devon scooped her up. The little cutie was totally high on catmint. Eden howled loudly to summon the doctor. The brothers desperately tried waking her up, knowing they would be in massive trouble if anyone caught her in this state. Eden tried to run, but Devon stopped him cold, reminding him that class was not over. Would he really abandon his student? Now the fun part begins. Eden decides to use his father's extreme method and carries her straight toward the lake. Sensing the cold water, Kitty suddenly bites Eden, cuddling deeper into his arms while adorably muttering in her deep sleep, asking him to be just a little gentler with her. Right then, a jealous Devon quickly snatches her away. Both brothers swore she would never touch that stuff again, but suddenly, Karis's booming voice freezes them in their tracks. Seeing Kitty's limp head, Karis demanded immediate explanations and gently scooped the precious little kitten out of her son's arms. Hearing Karis, Kitty snapped awake. In a sleepy daze, she swore she was fine and promised a kitty dance to prove it. Just like that, she started dancing like a total drunkard, leaving everyone completely mesmerized. But before finishing, she collapsed fast asleep on the floor. Fortunately, the doctor confirmed she was just in a deep slumber. And trust me, what the doctor whispered right after made Karis's heart jump straight into her throat. She glared at the boys, demanding a written apology by tomorrow. When Zakar found out that night, he was also deeply concerned. It turns out the catmint used against the leopards had been secretly modified. A tiny dose usually drugs them for 4 whole days, but Kidia recovered almost completely in just half a day. Later, he summoned Clay to his office, stating he heard Clay had a very deep interest in his little daughter. Cade was annoyed to be called at midnight for this, though he admitted with a smirk that she was indeed adorable. Zakar didn't buy it at all, suspecting he was hiding something, so he got straight to the point, ordering him to search his ancestral records. This was a highly unique hereditary ability passed down through the generations of the Fox clan. By completing the sacred ritual, A fox could actually view the magical memories engraved by their ancestors on the spiritual plane. With this clue, Clay realized that Kitty's true identity was somehow linked directly to the goddess herself. Legend had it that the divine power of Icarus was only passed down to the family's firstborn child, yet Kitty's rapid recovery proved she held that exact power. Zacher then slowly opened the box holding the blue moon. And surprisingly, she can literally feel a wonderfully warm energy radiating directly from inside the powerful gem. Suspecting that there is a highly dangerous spy nearby, Zacher hands Clay a crucial mission. While back in her room, Kitty peacefully wakes up. The very first thing she saw upon opening her eyes was Karis desperately holding back her laughter. Remembering all the crazy antics she pulled yesterday, the poor little wolf turned pale from sheer embarrassment. To everyone's total shock, the doctor confirmed her miraculous recovery, but Kitty was devastated because half the mansion saw her completely high. What if they now assumed she was a mere cat? Worse yet, she had brutally bitten Eden's hand. Would he take revenge by putting up a poster to publicly humiliate her? Karis comfortingly explains that even wolf pups get totally high on that herb. Hearing she isn't alone, Kitty is instantly happy, and we love to see it. Alright, let's jump in. As Cade stops our female lead on her way to training, offering warm milk with honey. Enjoy it, my lady. She accepted, deeply touched, as Cade's constant treats were slowly winning over her fragile, innocent heart. But Cade's very next words made her spit it out. Lord Zacher had ordered a personal escort for her. Zacher did this for her safety, but also strictly forbade Kaed from ever developing any romantic feelings toward her. He could not touch her ears or hands, no speaking beyond 3 sentences, and preferably no eye contact. Right after, Zacher ordered Elliot to secretly investigate Geryon, the mysterious leader of the feline clan. Pay attention here. We both know she cannot keep this massive secret hidden much longer. Crushed under the guilt of lying to her precious new family, the little girl fled the mansion all alone. A bit earlier, Kitty was practicing archery when Clyde announced that the young master of the vampire family had just arrived. He already found out about the bite Kitty gave him while she was totally drunk. Kitty tried avoiding Eden for days, but now this face-to-face confrontation was completely unavoidable. She walked toward him, trembling with fear, wondering just how furious he must be to hunt her down in person. Squeezing her eyes shut, Kitty apologized and offered to let him bite her back, but the pain never came. Eden gently patted her head. Bite you? Let us save that for later. But tell me, why are you so afraid of me? Do I look like some teacher who beats his students? Hearing that, Kitty's eyes sparkled with pure, relieved happiness. Suddenly, her brother's warning flashed through her mind. Do not let Eden think he has a special bond with you. Is this what they call persistence? Stick with me, because his response is going to melt your heart. Far from discouraged, Kitty smiled sweetly, promising to trust him blindly. Eden gently caressed her head once more, speaking softly. Then, starting today, you only need me. One day I will teach you the true persistence of a wolf. Just then, he noticed the sharp-eyed Clay watching nearby and asked who he was. Clay introduced himself as Zacher's assigned guard. Stepping in front of her, Clay made it clear his duty was to protect the young lady from any danger. She might not need an escort inside the mansion, but on this training ground, she must follow my orders. The two locked eyes in a tense standoff. Kitty broke the ice, saying she was sweaty and needed to wash up before class. Eden glanced at his watch and warned her not to be late. He did not notice the white cat hairs on his clothes, but Kitty did and was scared to death as she rushed back to her room. Safe in her room, Kitty hysterically told Gray she was shedding. Gray calmed her down, promising to give her a thorough brushing. He grabbed a brush and started combing, but soon a massive mountain of white fur completely covered the floor. Gray calmly explained that all the animals in the estate shed their fur, so nobody would pay it any mind. With her hair tied back, Kitty looked absolutely adorable, but Gray felt she still needed one final accessory. Meanwhile, Tiao and Devon attended Eden's training class on the pretext of checking in on their little sister's progress. They had finished their duties early. When Kitty walked in, her brother's eyes went wide, and Eden's gaze lit up instantly. Kitty looked like a precious little angel, but in an instant, the air filled with floating white fluff. Devon could not help but sneeze. Even though Tiao told her not to worry, Kitty felt increasingly guilty for covering everything in fur. Kitty apologized to Eden and asked for the day off so she could go for a walk. Tiao immediately suggested they all go together, but Kitty stuttered and refused. She quickly covered her head with a cloth and ran away, leaving a massive trail of white fur behind her. Murmuring a faint apology, she escaped out of breath, refusing to stop for anything. She never cared about shedding season before, but now she painfully realized that no other animal in this mansion was like her. And that leaves us with this heartbreaking image of our sweet Kitty crying alone on the hill. This peaceful home of the gray wolves was always filled with warmth, harmony, and delicious food. She felt the warmth of their unconditional love, even as a temporary guest. But she built all of it on lies. Tricking people who treated her with such genuine sweetness completely broke her heart. So, sitting on the hill, she buried her face and wept bitterly. When night fell, everyone in the mansion was still busy sweeping up the white fur that little Kitty had shed. This was the very first time the brothers had ever seen a feline shed, and they simply could not believe it. Maybe Kitty realized just how different she is from everyone else, making her sad. After asking a maid, they headed straight toward the Dandelion Hill. While Teo was still wondering why she ran away, he suddenly spotted her standing right at the very peak. The icy wind blew hard, scattering her soft fur. Seeing Kitty cry all alone on the peak deeply touched Eden, and trust me, this hurts to watch. He knew she missed her mother in heaven, a deep pain that he had no right to interfere with. Turning to leave, Eden handed a warm blanket to Devon, telling them to go and comfort her. Though a bit confused, the brothers did not hesitate. But halfway down, Eden turned back to look at her one last time. Devon and Teo were already wrapping her in the warm blanket. As her teacher, he understood only family warmth could ease her loneliness. Sadly, that comfort was something he simply could not give her himself. This is where it gets heavy. Shedding her fur made little Kitty realize she was different from the wolves, so she fled to the hill to cry. Kitty endured the freezing breeze, hoping it would carry away all her loose fur. Looking up, she wept inconsolably, just as Teo and Devon suddenly showed up. Fearing she would catch a cold, they wrapped her gently. "Kitty, do you miss your mom?" The little girl was left speechless. They must have heard her sobbing. "Just a little," she whispered. Teo placed a hand on Kitty's head to comfort her. "It is completely normal. Your family misses you too. Besides, you are shedding, and nobody could ever forget such soft, beautiful fur. Come back with us. We will help brush your coat." She shed tears of pure joy. After all, she was just a temporary foster. Why was everyone so kind to her? Because you are our beloved sister. Even if it is temporary, you are still our precious family, and we protect each other. Kitty looked up, wanting to gaze at the stars a bit longer. After all, she was a very romantic little wolf. The two brothers stayed by her side as she pointed out the shining constellations. Soon, the three returned to the Grey Wolf mansion. But as they approached the front door, Kitty started to hesitate. Could she go inside after making such a mess with her shedding fur? Pay attention here. What she saw next was absolutely breathtaking. Not just the decorations, but literally everything in the mansion had been replaced with the color white. What touched her heart the absolute most was that the maids did not blame her at all. Instead, they only worried if she had frozen outside. Just like that, Kitty returned to the warm embrace of her family. That night, Karis quietly entered the bedroom. The three little ones had transformed, and Kitty slept peacefully snuggled right between her brothers. Watching them sleep, Karis felt a deep, immense peace. With a trembling voice, she asked Zakar if their late daughter would have lived like this. Seeing Kitty's happiness, he nodded and held her close. Over the following days, Kitty threw herself right back into her studies. Alongside basic writing lessons, Eden began teaching her everything about the blue moon. For now, the Beastmen did not know how to activate it, mostly because they only possessed research replicas. Kitty remembered Jerian mentioning it often, though Zakar assured her that the real blue moon was held by the Leopard clan. It was incredibly suspicious that Jerian, who had such close ties to the Leopards, would speak of it. 4 years ago, the Leopards exiled the cats from their homeland, forcing them to live in completely barren territories. Her mother said Jerian was the first to step forward and defend them during that painful retreat, earning his role as their leader. Seeing her deep in thought, Eden asked what was on her mind. Kitty gasped. "How did you know I was thinking about something?" After hesitating for a moment, the little girl asked him if there was any connection between cats and the blue moon. Absolutely. The blue moon is a sacred relic of the goddess, and cats are the ones who pull her divine carriage. It is written right there in Lullabis. Eden recalled that certain felines waiting for the goddess to return use the same name for generations. On top of that, the felines pulling her carriage were completely immune to the power of the blue moon. For some reason, Kitty felt like Eden was testing her. "Are you really that interested in cats?" He confessed he found that info to defeat the Leopards. "This is getting crazy, wouldn't you agree?" No wonder Eden hated Kitty so much at first. Stick with me as we uncover how the Leopards used the blue moon, while cats remained immune. So he assumed she was a spy. Suddenly, a strange, unexpected thought crossed her mind. Were her father and brother those legendary cats? Did she inherit their power? And was that why her mother sent her to the wolves? With this realization, Kitty decided to ask Eden for a very special favor. Discovering her true strength and her mother's final wish, Kitty finally understood why she had to join the wolves, and begged Eden for help. Eden stared at her, asking if she truly trusted him. Hearing her call him master brought a soft, gentle smile to his face. Gently stroking her hair, he promised she could always rely on him. And honestly, you and I both know she finally found her protector. So, tell me, what is it you want me to do for you? After speaking with Kitty, Eden went straight to Zakar, and trust me, the boss already knew this talk was about her. Eden nodded, confessing that Kitty had mentioned the rival leader Jerian. Zakar was completely stunned. Seeing his shock, Eden straight up asked if he already knew she was a kitten. Instead of answering, Zakar completely ignored his words and just stared intensely at the young man. "She hid her identity from everyone. Yet she trusted you." Eden confirmed that was true. Even though Zakar and Karis warned him not to treat her like a pet, Eden felt it was fine since everyone knew. Besides, if he had let them scare him off, he would have missed out on her calling him her beloved master. Just thinking about her cute smile made him grin, which Zakar immediately noticed, asking what was on his mind. After that brief distraction, they got back to business, demanding to know what she had actually said. Now watch closely, because Zakar's face turns completely dark once he hears that Jerian mentioned the blue moon. Only those carrying the Icarus name were supposed to be immune, but she was a completely different case. To her, that legendary blue moon was just a pretty gemstone meant to bring people happiness. Despite endless questions, they had to verify if Jerian was immune too, so Eden stood up to leave after delivering his message. He fully trusted Zakar to handle it, but before he walked out, the leader asked him to report anything else she said. Right then, a cute vision of her playing happily with Tio and Devon flashed through his mind. So, he shared one last detail. Meanwhile, a group of nervous subordinates waited anxiously right outside the office. Elliot was holding daily reports when Zakar suddenly burst out of the room, walking past in a massive hurry. With an incredibly serious face, Zakar called out to Elliot while tightly clutching a thick notebook. "I have an extremely urgent matter to handle, so I am heading straight to Karis's office first." Hearing this, Elliot froze. Were they finally drawing up a combat strategy against those dangerous leopards? While Karis was sorting some paperwork, she heard a chaotic commotion outside just before Zakar kicked her door open. Karis, we need to talk immediately. Sensing the heavy tension, she stood up to inspect his thick notebook. As she flipped through the pages, her expression turned darker and more concerned by the second. This is what I need to discuss. When is a good time? Do you even have to ask? We are doing this right now. Outside, Elliot grew even more anxious, seeing the intense look on both leaders. From this moment on, everyone in Grey Wolf must work tirelessly to prepare for next week's grand agenda. What was this grand plan? Look closely, because his face is completely serious. Our beloved little Kittia is turning 7 years old. Hearing this, Elliot was so stunned he lost his voice. That was the critical emergency? The kitten was turning 7, and the entire estate was already on maximum alert. At dinner that night, Kittia sat happily right in the middle of her brothers as usual. Because of shedding season, Lady Karis, Zakar, and even Eden wore gorgeous, fluffy wolf fur scarves around their necks. Only Kittia's shoulders were left bare. Suddenly, she was startled out of her thoughts by Karis's voice. Kittia, I heard your birthday is next week. How did everyone find out in just half a day? Earlier, after lessons, her brothers came to play, and she suggested using a ball of yarn made from her own fur. But then she realized that scary wolves probably don't run around chasing balls of yarn. So, she quickly made up a lie, claiming the yarn meant she was about to turn 7. And that is how we leave our cute kitten, who never expected her birthday would throw the family into chaos. Let's see what kind of birthday gift our little kitten asks for. She was going to refuse, saying she was happy enough, but her adoptive parents' warm eyes stopped her. Little wolves always love presents and celebrations. Watching this, Eden couldn't help but smile from his quiet corner. Since the family spoiled her so much, she only asked for simple knitting materials. Tio asked if she wanted to make something, but she said she just wanted to practice for when she lived alone. At those words, the room completely froze. Devon instantly suggested she ask for expensive clothes and brilliant jewels. Tiao agreed, saying she could sell them. Trust me, they'll never let her leave. All right, you and I are about to watch how Kitty refused. That was the Grey Wolf's wealth after all. Silence fell once again. Eden scoffed. I never taught you how to worry, but it looks like you are doing just fine on your own. Karis asked her what she wanted besides gifts. Let's see how Kitty decides to head out and explore the busy shopping streets. It looked so beautiful when she gazed down at it from the hill with her brothers. Her brothers smiled and began convincing her, saying that the outside world was way more fun than staying in the mansion. Naturally, she happily agreed. Harris got the message immediately. We will buy absolutely everything you point at in those shops, and do not forget the first Night Legion of Guards. Since we are bringing back tons of gifts, let us take the second too. Kitty's birthday finally arrived. The moment she woke up, she ran straight to the place honoring her parents' portraits. It was her big day, and she wanted to tell everyone that she was finally 7 years old. She missed them terribly, so she gently kissed the small button, remembering the lovely moments they shared. Outside, Elliot and Clay were already waiting, so excited for her birthday. Kitty greeted them cheerfully and took Elliot's hand to climb inside the carriage. The second she stepped inside, she gasped as her brothers popped confetti cannons. Happy birthday, Kittia! They both hugged and kissed her warmly. I cannot believe our sweet little cutie is already 7. Then, she noticed her master, Eden, was also sitting there. Eden calmly explained he only came along to make sure she did not miss her lessons. Well, in that case, you better wish me a happy birthday, or I will not listen to today's lesson. Seeing Eden's tense silence, Kitty panicked and joked. Pay close attention here, because our wild journey is just beginning. Harris and Zakar stood on the balcony, watching the carriage fade into the distance. I hope Kitty buys everything she likes today. Except for that old button from the clothes she arrived in, nothing seems to catch her eye. With that, Karis pulled out a pair of scissors. At dinner yesterday, you surely noticed how much Kitty wanted a wolf fur ornament, right? If she's the only one without it, she will feel left out. Zakar let out a sigh, remembering her sad expression, and shifted into a massive wolf so Karis could shear some fur. On her 7th birthday, the little kitten Kitty finally showed her true self to her brand new family. Before long, the Grand Grey Wolf caravan finally entered the bustling shopping district. Kitty pressed her face against the glass, totally thrilled by the massive crowd of wolves outside. Clay teased that she was one of them too. Kitty froze for a second. Right then, the carriage suddenly screeched to a halt. Elliot told them to stay inside while he cleared a path. I know what you are thinking, and yes, everyone was dying of curiosity. Hearing this, Kitty happily waved at the kids her age through the open window. Suddenly, Eden shut the curtains to explain the proper way she should behave while shopping. Kitty excitedly asked how buying things worked, leaving everyone speechless. Had the poor kid really never gone shopping before? She recalled her father and brother always being on missions while her mother worked late, meaning neighbors and mom usually handled her clothes. Helpless, Eden told her to just point at anything she wanted, and Elliot would charge it to the Grey Wolves. Clay also gave some guard tips. If you ever feel the blue moon's energy, duck down instantly and count backward from 100 in your head. That is the exact amount of time the knights need to subdue anyone losing their minds to the blue moon. Plus, if we get separated, just howl so we can find you. Having cleared the crowd, Elliot opened the carriage door. All right, my lady. Your shopping spree starts now. Watching Chiao hold Kitty's hand as she stepped down sent whispers through the crowd. It seems she gets along great with the clan's young masters. Even the VB family's young master is present. Just then, an old man muttered that she was not a real wolf. Bystanders slammed his mouth shut immediately. Have you completely forgotten the strict orders of Lady Karis? Kitty walked under everyone's watchful eyes. People smiled and cheered warmly, giving her a massive, welcoming reception. Touched by the affection, Kitty waved back, completely unaware that Karis and Zakar had meticulously arranged everything beforehand. Her first stop was a knitting shop overflowing with colorful yarn balls. Her eyes sparkled, and she gasped with pure excitement. Her brothers asked if she wanted all of them. Kitty nodded rapidly, staring in complete awe at every single ball of yarn. Deciding is tough. Trust me, you and I are going to love Devin and Elliot's grand plan. Let's dive into this sweet story. Elliot literally bought out the entire shop the moment Kitty picked a single ball of yarn. Meanwhile, cloak stalkers track her every move. Nobody expected the powerful wolf tribe to deploy so many elite knights just to protect this sweet child. That royal treatment caught the eye of a mysterious, watching woman. Clutching a replica of the blue moon, she planned to unleash its madness to inflict agonizing pain if the kitten dared step any closer. If she resisted, they would kidnap her instead. Driven mad by the blue moon, her cloaked puppets writhed, but could not disobey. At that very moment, totally unaware, Kitty and her brothers were happily enjoying their fun shopping trip. They had no idea they were stalked, but then Cade suddenly sensed a dark, disturbing shift in the air. Sensing the creeping aura of madness, Elliot instantly commanded his elite knights to mobilize and search. As the cloaked attackers closed in, Kitty felt absolutely no pain. Instead, she was suddenly filled with pure, overflowing joy. Elliot and Clyde froze in shock. They had never seen anyone react with pure happiness to that toxic, devastating curse. Spotted, Elliot pinpointed the attackers, and with Cade's magic backing them up, the knights quickly pinned them down one by one. Now, pay attention here. The mastermind slips back into the crowd, barely holding back a wicked smirk at what she just saw. She had never seen a kitten react like that, realizing the legendary Grey Wolves would never adopt a normal cat. With that disturbing news, the woman vanished into the shadows to report back to her masters. Unmasking the captured attackers left everyone completely speechless. Every single beastman controlled by that cursed blue moon was a fox shifter. When Kidia finally opened her eyes after her game, the very first thing she saw was Cade's pale, trembling face. Just as she wondered what was wrong, one of the captured fox beastmen shattered Cade's magic binding and lunged directly at the helpless little kitten. Devon sensed the threat and leapt forward, but he was too late. The fox snatched Kidia and took off, forcing Elliot to order a pursuit. Using dark flight magic, the kidnapper flew high into the sky, quickly leaving the desperate knights far behind. Kidia panicked. She knew if he kept flying, her wolf brothers would lose her trail forever. Suddenly remembering how to howl for rescue, she is mocked by her captor, who sneeringly reads her mind. "Are you gonna meow? I know your secret stray cat kicked out of your home for being a thief." Ignoring him, Kidia screamed out with all her might. Suddenly, a massive force slammed her captor straight out of the sky. Two powerful figures emerged from the dust cloud, and Kidia opened her eyes to find herself safe in Karis's arms. "You feel that relief, right?" Her saviors tease her, saying she has gotten pretty loud now that she is 7 years old. Zakar drags the unconscious kidnapper behind him, though his own wolf mane looks mysteriously thinner than before. Kidia frantically shook her head, but her guilty eyes betrayed her just as her panicked brothers caught up. They immediately checked her for wounds, while Elliot apologized, swearing to interrogate the foxes, so this never happens again. "And thank you for your brave call, my precious little lady." The insult stray cat cut deep into her soul, but she forced a smile, claiming she was a proud wolf after all. Seeing how shaken she was, Karis decided to hand over a stunning wolf fur scarf as an early birthday gift. Kidia stared in awe at the beautiful gift. Karis gently explained he saw how much she loved it and wanted her special day to be perfect. That was the exact moment Kidia realized the heartbreaking truth behind Zakar's strange haircut. Looking at his cut fur, she choked back tears while guiltily stroking the soft, warm scarf around her shoulders. When Karis worriedly asked if she hated the present, Kidia broke down completely, unable to hold back her tears. "Someone like me, I don't deserve such a beautiful, precious gift." They rushed to comfort her. But weeping from her soul, Kidia knew she had to finally tell them the absolute truth. "My mother was a cat, and so was my father, my brother, and me. She was pregnant back then, and because we were starving, I stole food from a barn. We were exiled for it. I am so sorry for lying, pretending to be a wolf. I do not deserve this beautiful gift." Squeezing her eyes shut in sheer despair, she struggled to find the words. "Even if you banish me, I cannot keep lying to such kind wolves, or use you just to get revenge for my family." Karis's voice shook as he said her name, while Kidia braced herself for their anger and her final exile. But instead of anger, she was pulled into Karis's warm embrace, softly whispering for her to speak no more. And that's where we leave it, proving they loved her for who she is, not because they thought she was a wolf. We both know a father would do absolutely anything to protect his kids, right? The situation was completely out of his hands, so there is no need for guilt. As Karis comforted Kitty, that painful, heavy knot in her own heart finally began to unravel. "I'm so glad you're safe. Happy birthday, Kitty," who managed to flash a radiant smile despite her tears. Those awful villains had discovered Kidia's hidden powers. But just as they tried to kidnap her, Karis and Zakar burst in at the perfect moment to rescue her. To soothe the terrified little Kidia, Karis decided to give her birthday present a bit early. But this sweet gesture only made Kitty feel incredibly guilty, forcing her to finally confess to everyone that she was actually a tiny kitten. She fully expected them to scold her and throw her out, but to her complete shock, absolutely nobody cared about her real identity. After that emotional confession, Karis scooped Kitty up in her arms, and they continued their stroll through the shopping district. The twin brothers definitely weren't thrilled about their mother hogging Kitty all to herself. But suddenly, a strange noise behind them caught the little girl's attention. Following the noise, she spotted Zakar fiercely lecturing Kaid for his absolutely terrible negligence. Even if the leopards are manipulating the fox beast kin, you still had a duty to fulfill. If you hesitate like this, we wolves won't be able to help you foxes anymore. Watch closely. Zakar's heavy words weighed like absolute lead on Kaid. You see, the very fox beastkin being controlled and driven mad were his own close comrades, captured months ago while securing his escape. Cade desperately swallowed his guilt. To save his people, he absolutely needed the wolves' help. I am deeply sorry. I put the young lady in danger. I will do much better from now on. Hearing this, Elliot stepped forward to defend the poor guy. If it weren't for Cade, we never would have detected that faint trace of madness. But of course, his words did not soften Zakar's harsh stance. Kitty caught the look on Cade's face. He seemed like a sneaky, calculating guy, but deep down, he truly cherished his people. Kitty softly asked Karis if they were going to punish Cade. The answer was firm. You were almost hurt, so we cannot let this slide. Right then, a tiny, sweet voice piped up from her arms. Kitty looked up with huge, pleading eyes. But today is my birthday. I don't want anyone punished today. Karis stared at the little girl, then carried her over to Zakar, who looked thoroughly confused after Elliot gestured. His terrifyingly fierce face instantly startled the poor girl. But Kitty gathered all her courage to defend Cade, insisting they shouldn't punish him because he had already tried his absolute best. If someone I loved became my enemy, I would hesitate too. Hearing those wise words, Zakar glanced back at the silent fox behind him. I know what you're thinking, but they actually let Cade off the hook, leaving him completely paralyzed in absolute shock. Kitty peeked out to whisper a sweet thank you, leaving Cade nodding his head in complete disbelief. Did this tiny kitten really care about his safety? Until now, Cade always believed kindness was just a calculated trade between different tribes. But right now, Kitty's incredibly pure heart had touched him to his very core. Without even realizing it, Cade's fluffy fox ears popped right out, and Eden, watching from afar, felt a sharp prickle of jealousy. Back at the Grand Mansion, everyone was busy rushing around to prepare a massive birthday party for Kitty. She had never seen such a massive cake before, and her eyes lit up instantly. Then, a wonderfully familiar scent caught her attention. They had actually prepared that special soup traditionally served on a cat's birthday. Knowing Karis ordered it just for her, Kitty was so touched she happily devoured every single bite. Right then, her brothers stepped up to hand her their big gift. They were 3 adorable piggy banks. To make sure Kitty had her own savings, the brothers had preloaded them with shiny gold coins. But Kitty didn't know, did these little pigs actually multiply money? Devin started teasing her, saying that since pigs eat very little but get fat fast, her coins would magically grow on their own. Still skeptical, Kitty turned to ask Eden if it was true, and despite being annoyed by the twins, he totally went along with it. After all, we are in the wolves' den. If these little pigs do not work hard to make money, they will regret it. Sensing the piggy bank's fear, Kitty quickly comforted them, promising the pigs that these were good wolves who would never force them to give up their precious coins. Then, Eden pulled out his own special gift, a beautiful hat, identical to the one Kitty had lost during her scary kidnapping. Didn't you lose one just like this? Happy birthday. Kitty put the hat on, absolutely glowing with pure happiness. Meanwhile, the other wolves watched Eden with suspicion, deciding they needed to keep a very close eye on him. After dinner, Karis dressed Kitty in a gorgeous, custom-made gown, preparing everyone for a painter to capture their very first family portrait. Once finished, the beautiful masterpiece was proudly hung in the mansion's grand main hall. Even though it showed 2 giant wolves, 2 energetic cubs, and 1 tiny kitten, it beautifully captured a family filled with pure love. And that's where we leave it, as a secret promise is made while the wolf mansion begins to stir once more. Get ready, because you and I are about to uncover a hidden power that changes absolutely everything in this story. They tied poor Elliot to a chair, using a replica of the blue moon to drive him completely insane. Given his strength and the blue moon's sheer power, they estimated this madness would last at least a full week. Even so, the couple only cared about keeping little Tia safe. They told Tia to speak up if she felt sick so they could leave, but she stared at Elliot as a warm light enveloped her body. Just by stepping closer, Elliot's condition began to improve in a truly shocking way. Karis couldn't believe his eyes. When Tia asked to get closer, he picked her up and carefully carried her toward him. The sweet little girl gently placed her tiny hand onto Elliot's head. Instantly, the blank look in Elliot's eyes vanished, fully restoring his sanity. In fact, he felt even better than before the madness took hold. Tia explained to everyone that the moment she touched him, that warm, glowing light suddenly vanished. Just to be absolutely sure he was back, Karis asked Elliot for their prearranged secret password. Elliot smirked. "Are you talking about introducing me to a beautiful, kind-hearted werewolf lady?" Hearing that nonsense, Karis ignored him completely, turning around instead to praise little Tia's incredible gift. Pay attention here, because this highly unique power has the potential to reshape the fate of their entire world. This ability has never been mentioned in any ancient records. It might just be that special magic your mother always talked about. At the sudden mention of her mother, Tia's bright mood instantly plummeted. Did she really have what it took to stop the leopards? Karis tried to cheer her up, knowing this power had to remain a secret. If anyone learns about your massive power, you'll become a target. That's why we tested this on Elliot. First, we can trust him. Tia then brought up the foxmen they met earlier, but Karis gently reassured her not to worry. Thanks to the healing power you used on him, he's recovering rapidly and sharing useful intel with us. Though we aren't sure if he's only cooperating because of Creed. Tia excitedly blurted out that she wanted to rescue the other foxmen, win their love, and eventually move to their land when she grows up. That idea completely stunned Karis and Zachar. They rushed over, begging her to immediately reconsider such a crazy plan. There is absolutely no place on this earth better or safer to live in than Greywolf. Even when you're older and fully independent, you must stay right here. Seeing their intense worry, Tia had no choice but to nod. A few days later, Greywolf was blanketed in the first snowfall of the year. Now, this is where the story takes a massive turn. Stick with me, because the clan suddenly had to leave for an important ceremony. Left in charge of the house alongside her siblings, Tia suddenly remembered that Eden's mother had also tragically lost her life to those brutal leopards. The sweet little girl turned right around and marched straight into the kitchen. The maids offered to make her delicious salmon sandwiches, but Tia politely declined, asking for just a warm glass of milk and a bag of cookies instead. Once the cookies were finally ready, Tia thanked her and was about to leave when the maid pointed out a stray hair on her clothes, brushing it off as they said goodbye. But she had no idea the maid had a sinister motive for taking that hair. That woman was actually Sigund, the leopard's second-in-command and the mastermind behind Tia's kidnapping. Completely unaware of the danger, the young girl ran to Eden's room. She knocked on the door looking for Eden, but when he opened it, all her excitement vanished in a single fraction of a second. Eden's eyes were completely bloodshot, a clear sign that he had just been crying in secret only moments ago. Seeing him so utterly heartbroken, squeezed Tia's chest. Left with no other choice, the young boy reluctantly let her step inside his room. If Theo and Devon saw her here, they would start trouble again. Eden sighed softly, offering a handkerchief to the little girl. He insisted he wasn't crying, so she wouldn't start tearing up too, and she quickly handed him the freshly baked cookies. Eden stared blankly at the bag of cookies for a long moment before asking if she had given some to Creed. Confused, Tia quickly set him straight. Creed left early with the grown-ups for the training grounds, so I actually made these cookies specifically for you, Eden. Sensing a wave of pure relief, Eden calmed down and promised to eat them later, asking her to leave. but she was terrified of letting him stay alone. He claimed once more that he wasn't crying, teasing that she had gotten quite bold ever since they revealed her true identity. "But your eyes are still wet." Those soft, innocent words from Tia finally shattered the last of Eden's emotional walls. And that's where we leave it, waiting to see how this broken heart heals. Let's dive back in, as she rests her head on Eden's shoulder, asking about his mother. Eden only remembered his mother as a genius among wolves, making him want to inherit that title. Though his memories were vague, he remembered her reading to him before she tragically died under a leopard's claws. This was the first time Tia heard him open up, and she knew that painful emotional void all too well. Suddenly, Tia stood up and hugged him tightly, remembering her mother's words that a hug heals everything. "I promise to stay beside you next year," she said, as Eden stroked her hair and asked, "What next?" "I will stay the year after that, too. I will be by your side for a lifetime." Tia only planned to stay until she grew up, but pay attention here, because Eden took that promise very seriously. "You promised to stay with me forever, so, from now on, you will only make those promises to me." Unaware of how sacred promises are to wolves, Tia agreed, and from that moment, Eden's gaze softened completely. The next day, Grey Wolf territory woke up blanketed in snow, and Tia happily ran out to play with her brothers. While they played in the snow, Eden preferred reading a book all alone in his room. Back then, Tia always built snowmen with her mother, but this time she decided to sculpt the entire Grey Wolf family with her brothers. Finally, she crafted a tiny figure of herself and placed it right in the middle of the 4 large wolves. Remembering Karis's warm hug, the little girl finally felt that this wonderful place actually belonged to a sweet kitten like her. Tia and her brothers built several beautiful snowmen out in the yard. Returning home that afternoon, Karis and Zachar immediately spotted the snow sculptures, and Karis thought the tiny one was Tia. However, looking closer at the figure, she realized it was not shaped like a kitten at all. Let's pause and look at this. Tia had actually sculpted Karis's late daughter, interrupting her grief right at her saddest moment. Karis wondered where Tia was going so late. Excited, the girl explained she couldn't sleep and wanted to play, saying her brothers and she made all those snow figures. Asking if Karis liked them, Tia saw she was about to cry and lovingly took shelter inside her warm embrace. The sweet warmth of her tiny body deeply comforted the aching heart of Karis. After a pause, Karis asked if she missed her mother. Tia nodded but promised not to cry, knowing her mother would worry if she weren't strong. Hearing this, Karis burst into tears, wondering if her own late little daughter, who passed away too soon, would have been as loving and offered her such comforting words. She felt guilty leaving her daughter alone in the cold while enjoying such warm and happy moments herself. She wished with all her soul that time would stop right there, but fate had very different plans. After a wonderful time, Tia learned to read and write thanks to the constant support of her loving brothers. Sometime later, Eden returned to his lands by carriage, while Creed assumed leadership over the fox beastkin. After enjoying an entire year of play, her brothers left for the central training camp to grow much stronger. Suddenly, left all alone in the mansion, Tia endured the painful isolation and trained hard to polish her own skills. Suddenly, 10 years flash by, and some mysterious hooded men cause a massive scene in the commercial district. One attacker corners a helpless rabbit beastkin, but just in time, a young woman appears to block the blow. It turns out to be Tia, now 17 years old, and luckily, Elliot and his knights arrive just in time. While Elliot confronts the intruders, Tia rushes over to check on the injured, defenseless rabbit beastkin. They already knew of her reputation, since her incredible kindness allowed the weakest beastkin to live safely in Grey Wolf. Tia humbly credited Zachar and Karis for that safety, but in that very moment, she noticed the rabbit was pregnant. Let's follow her as Tia remembers her own painful past. Her mother's image flashes back, but luckily, she protected everyone this time, while Elliot ties up the intruders. Tia extends her hand towards them, instantly releasing a gentle wave of warm, magical energy. Within seconds, the invaders regained sanity, leaving nothing but to load them into a carriage. Whispering among themselves, the crowd remembers how she looked as lovely as an elf when she first arrived. If you didn't already know, you'd never believe Lady Tia is actually a kitten. Even Elliot has doubts. The once terrified, innocent kitten has truly grown into a woman every bit as bold as a wolf. Honestly, her biggest weakness was still salmon. Let's dive in. Meanwhile, Elliot realized Tia's charm had already won over the entire wolf tribe, and she did not even notice it. Maybe felines did not understand love the same way wolves did, which is why Elliot decided to give her a serious warning. He warned her not to go around accidentally breaking hearts, calling her a very dangerous woman. Just some friendly advice from an expert wolf who knows exactly how this whole romance thing works. And he told her not to spend so much alone time with Eden or Creed. She was baffled they were just her close friends. He insisted that she was a grown woman now and should avoid being alone with men so much. Though she reluctantly agreed, she felt like Elliot was stressing out over absolutely nothing. At that moment, Eden was busy preparing his succession ceremony to become the new family head. And Creed was leading the Fox Squad. So neither had free time. She also had to plan her own future and get revenge on Jerian, her mother's killer. Sakar had promised that, once he returned, he would reveal the whole truth about her father and brother. Maybe then, she would finally uncover her mysterious connection to the Blue Moon Pay. Close attention here. They were Fox Beastmen again. Elliot smiled in relief, seeing her magic had finally restored their sanity. Hearing this, Tia felt confused, sensing that this group of foxes was slightly different from the others. Was it just her imagination? She asked Elliot to transfer them to the Fox Squad to recover first. Leaving information gathering for later, Elliot immediately agreed to carry out her orders. This was not the first time she had seen Fox Beastmen exposed to the Blue Moon's influence. Seeing them like this reminded her of her late mother, which made her want to end this tragedy even more. Tia stepped forward, asking Elliot if the leopards had sent them to attack once again. Elliot replied they needed to investigate first, but it was highly likely, worrying the young lady once more. Over the last few years, the leopards had constantly kept attacking them. They wanted to kidnap her or steal her hair to analyze the magical data stored inside. Despite the Grey Wolf clan's best efforts to protect her, they eventually managed to steal a lock. They were incredibly persistent, and the thought of being analyzed by them, especially that woman, disgusted her. Even though she had not run into any powerful opponents for the past 10 years, thinking about that woman gave her chills. Plus, they discovered Jerian was closely tied to the dangerous leopard clan. Because of that, they shot arrows mimicking the blue moon. Let's pause here. They discovered that slippery Jerian was completely immune to its negative effects. Though they did not know why he was immune, crushing the leopards would surely drag Jerian down too. She had to avenge her mother, wondering what secrets these newly captured foxes would reveal this time. With that in mind, she ordered them to help the Fox Beastmen snap out of it quickly. But out of nowhere, Elliot muttered that being so active could actually become quite a problem. Seeing her confusion, Elliot explained that the foxes she rescued had already formed 7 entire squads. Tia gasped in shock, panicking about whether she had to pay the living expenses for all those beastmen. She hated touching her personal savings, and parting with her precious gold coins would break her heart. Her 3 little pigs' piggy banks were strictly off-limits, leaving Elliot completely speechless at her dramatics. It was not about money, but rather asking her to deliver an urgent message to Creed next time. Tia asked if they fought, which Elliot frustratedly denied. Oh man, this fun story is just getting good. Now, Creed's power is growing out of control with each new fox, resonating with sheer brutal force. His mysterious vibe stands out so much more now that he has grown so tall. Soon he will lead his tribe as the Great Fox King, but Tia doubts he will leave so easily. But Creed is super friendly, right? Elliot smirked, telling her he is only like that with her. Friendly to me? I have had him running errands since we were kids. I get it, Tia joked. I will tell him to be nicer to you next time. By the way, I have hard training today. 5 more rounds of sword practice. But as we head back to the mansion, Rhea receives her looking extremely worried. We are diving right back into Tia's world as she leaps straight into warm arms after her outing. We must choose new maids soon, Rhea suggests, so they can take over her care. This instantly makes Tia sad. Time is ticking by, and Rhea's aging body simply cannot keep up with her duties anymore. She knows it is necessary, but it hurts. Holding back tears, Tia whispers that Reina does hair beautifully. Hearing this, Rhea smiles warmly. Our sweet young lady truly has a heart of pure gold. Though struggling to accept it, Tia suggests holding interviews when Lord Karis returns. Reina nods in agreement. Now watch closely here, because things shift fast as our girl spots Eden completely lost in a massive book. Right then, his gaze lifts. Eden! She calls out, rushing over to him while he just stays quiet. He simply reaches out to gently pat her hair. I love when Eden does that, Tia thinks happily. Suddenly, Eden's smile freezes. Why do you smell like a fox? Tia quickly scrambles to explain. I rescued some wild fox beastmen in the streets, and I have to watch them train later today. Eden frowns thoughtfully, then smiles sweetly. I have rested enough, and he should be at the field now, right? Just then, Creed's voice cuts in. Lady, you are here! Tia turns around, absolutely thrilled. You're so early, Creed explains. It is freezing, and he wants to cast a warmth spell to protect her. Just then, Elliot calls out that training is starting, but as he turns around, he completely freezes. What do I do now? Creed and Eden are locked in a silent war, sending mental sparks flying. Meanwhile, clueless Tia is still beaming. I'm coming, Sir Elliot. This only deepens the poor knight's massive worry. What would they do to their pure lady? First up is Eden Vibus, a brilliant young heir with an incredible future. Though he always stays perfectly composed around others, Tia is the sole exception, and he even reassigned the Wolf Knights, who dared confess their feelings to her. I know exactly what you're thinking, and yep, this wolf boy is hopelessly head over heels for our cute lady. Creed has grown so tall, he matches my height now. How can a mage have such a massive physique? With more foxes flanking him, his magical power is colossal, and he pulls tricks the wolves would never dream of to win over Tia's affection. But with her being so dense, these rivals are going to suffer. Let's begin magic training, Sir Elliot suggests. Before she can answer, Eden grumbles in annoyance. Sir Elliot, outdoor training in this brutal, freezing weather? I am very strong. Tia insists. Daily training does not stop just for a little bit of cold. Elliot nods quickly and begins. Tia holds the magic orb tight, focusing all of her inner energy. Seeing her squeeze her face, Elliot teases that she will get wrinkles. Hearing that, her expression instantly slumps. Controlling mana as a tiny cat is incredibly hard, and they're supposed to be the goddess's sacred beasts. Sensing her frustration, Creed kneels down and gently taps Tia's forehead with a soft touch. Imagine energy flowing from your forehead down to your fingertips, he whispers. This will make it much easier. Following his great advice, she successfully unleashes her power. Teacher, it actually worked! She cheers excitedly. Elliot steps in right away. Creed, I appreciate the help, but please give the young lady some space. You have mastered the bow and short arrows. Now that you control magic, we proceed to the next step. Time to fight in beast form. Tia's eyes sparkle. Can I fly like Lord Zakar and dive at 45 degrees? Elliot can only chuckle at her adorable enthusiasm. And just like that, Elliot scoops up Tia in her ultra-cute fluffball animal form. Come look at this with me. Her winter coat is super fluffy, but Tia boasts her claws are much stronger too. Let's practice channeling power to your front paws then. Awesome. 1, 2, just like that. Tia works hard, punching the wooden dummy with her paws, completely unaware that her effort is giving everyone a terminal cuteness overload. 1, 2, 1, 2. After a stretch of non-stop practice, the little cub collapses, completely wiped out. Spotting her like that, Elliot can't help but laugh and calls an end to training for today. Eden rushes over to scoop her up, but Creed snidely remarks that the young master's black coat will get covered in fur. Eden shoots him a frosty glare and flatly tells him not to worry about it. All right, let's jump into the tension sparking between these two, luckily interrupted just in time. Lord Elliot, please come look at this. What is it? He asks with absolute seriousness. They report that the rescued fox beastmen revealed Jerian sent them. Hearing that name, Tia's heart completely stops. The group rushes over, filled with frustration. One of them says they can't even look them in the eye. They claim a cat named Jerian knocked them out using the blue moon. Does he actually have it? Tia wonders. I don't know if it's a replica, the man replies, but he used it to capture the foxes. He ordered us to bring him a cat named Tia living here in Greywolf. He was frantic, as if hunted, desperately needing to confirm something. And if that failed, he demanded we at least bring back her hair. If not for the young lady, who knows what would have happened? Tia clenches her fists, trembling with rage. Jerian is the enemy she can never forget. To think he would go to such extremes just to capture her. She thought she'd have to find him herself, but he struck first. Then, the rescued man reveals more details. He warned that Jerian's minions will approach the young lady soon, though they don't know how they'll do it. Now, pay attention here. Could they use the maid position? Tia asks Eden if hiring goes through the butler or head maid. That is correct, Eden answers. And the process to select your personal maid will be incredibly strict. My lady, Creed asks, do you want me to filter through the approved candidates right now? No, Tia says. Let's proceed with the scheduled interviews. Wait, does she actually want to hire Jerian's spies? Creed asks in confusion. Just temporarily, Tia explains. As a Grey Wolf, I won't sit back and wait to be attacked. Creed nods, understanding the stakes, and promises to handle everything she has asked of him. I'm glad to be of use, my lady. Thank you, Tia replies. Seeing them laugh together, Eden feels a sharp pang of annoyance. Since when were they like this? You and I both see it. Eden's jealousy is totally exploding. He hates her smiling at other men after all they said. Frustrated, Eden gently cups Tia's head in his hand and tells her that he's already exhausted. He wants to finish the lesson quickly to rest. Remembering, Tia apologizes, but Eden's mood has already turned sour. Did you really forget? Tia feels deeply guilty, knowing how important her master's lesson actually is. As she leaves with Eden, Tia waves goodbye and leaves the task to Creed, who nods obediently. Creed keeps a polite smile on his face, but inside, he's absolutely burning with rage. That wolf is the worst. The next day, Tia wakes up stretching. Reina enters with breakfast, saying she has finally grown. No more stretching needed. Good morning, Reina. Tia smiles. Did you manage to get some rest last night? Reina kisses her cheek, sharing that the lords will return to the mansion tonight. Really? Tia gasps, completely thrilled. Excited, Tia plans to tell them immediately. She knows letting Jerian's spies in will ruin her peaceful daily life. Even if it's dangerous and highly annoying, she has no choice. She must defeat Jerian, no matter what. Once terrified of the Wolf Clan, he has changed drastically. Soon she'll uncover why. Knowing Jerian, there's no way he would ever show his face in person. He's definitely plotting from the shadows. Could a major conflict have erupted between Jerian and the leopards? That afternoon, seeing Zakar and Carice finally arrive, Tia runs toward them with pure excitement. Zakar asks how she's been. She nods happily, asking if they had a safe journey back. Noticing Zakar's intense, expectant gaze, Tia immediately understands exactly what he wants in this moment. She rubs her head against Zakar, who responds with pure delight. What a heartwarming family reunion. Stick with me on this one. Your fur is thicker lately from shedding, so you'll brush me, right? Of course, Tia replies. Zakar adds, I have something important to discuss. See you in the office later. Hearing that, Tia's heart fills with hope, wishing it would be about her father. Then Carice, standing beside them, asks, "What about me, Tia?" She leaps into his arms, shouting, "Lord Carice!" Carice looks at her tenderly. Right, Tia remembers her duty and quickly says, "I also have news for you." After hearing everything that happened, Zakar explodes with absolute fury. Did that seriously happen? Elliot chimes in. The feline leader is hunting her. Did the leopards plot this whole thing? Get ready. Zakar is deep in thought. Tia analyzed the situation, figuring Jerian wanted to plant spies among her maids. Was he planning to watch her every move long term? If so, it was the perfect chance to feed them fake info. She wouldn't cancel the interviews. They had to act like nothing was wrong. Elliot asked if that was too risky. Why not just weed out Jerian's spies during the screening process? We should trust Tia for now. She excitedly added that Zakar promised unmasking the traitors would be easy. It is only natural, Zakar agreed, while Karis noted that family must always trust one another. Suddenly, Tia remembered something else. Didn't you have more to say? Zakar revealed Hogwood found a major clue about the leopards. A major clue? Tia asked, wondering what the leopards actually wanted to do with his hair. Zakar went on to share the truth about Jerian, the feline leader. Hogwood found out Jerian actually has the blue moon. What about the leopards? Tia asked, intrigued, as Zakar continued. Their conflict is messy. You see, the leopards actually lose their minds whenever they get close to the blue moon. So they used Jerian, who is immune, to make fakes. Meanwhile, the real moon sits in a tower guarded by leopards. So basically, Jerian is the only person who can actually touch it in that tower, right? Tia asked, intrigued. Yes, Zakar replied. Now pay attention. Jerian already replaced it with a copy. Tia frowned, noting he had always been incredibly bold. Zakar agreed, saying she was absolutely right. He planned this for years, but the leopards apparently found out. Does that mean Jerian is now enemies with their leader? Exactly. Since they cannot go near the blue moon, they targeted you, because you are entirely immune to its poison. At first, we assumed they came after you just to exploit a weakness in the wolf tribe. But then we found out they want you to replace Jerian. They know your power is far superior to his, so they are hunting you down. Tia, you can restore sanity to those foxmen affected by the blue moon. She nodded softly. Jerian is merely immune. So, who do you think holds the real power? Zakar asked. Mine, Tia replied firmly. Over the years, Zakar explained, placing some files on the table. I have been analyzing the traces of magic you left here. Tia scanned them quickly and let out a soft gasp of surprise. That is right, you are seeing it correctly, Zakar confirmed. The wolf tribe concluded that your magical power comes directly from the goddess, and that blue moon originally belonged to her. Nobody but its true owner can withstand its dark influence and wield such massive power as they please. Tia was stunned and asked what she should do next. First, be extremely careful not to let them kidnap you, Zakar warned. Both sides discovered your secret. Trust me, things are about to get really ugly. They will soon take much more aggressive action. Hearing this, Tia squeezed the pages tightly in her hands. Did they already know this would happen? Is that why they decided to send me straight to wolf territory? There is more about your mother and you, Zakar continued. Hogwood uncovered the dark truth behind the deaths of the Icarus felines. My father and my brother? Tia asked in anguish, though I have not been able to review the final report myself. There is a strong chance they did it. I heard the direct proof was sent to Eden, so it should be there. Sure enough, Eden already had the documents. We Bearkin never wanted to get dragged into the conflicts of other beasts. Therefore, any intrusion onto our land is seen as a direct act of war, no matter who is responsible. However, those two Icarus felines did not die in an accident. They were brutally murdered by their own kind. Reading this, Eden felt a deep conflict raging in his heart, his mind entirely consumed with worry for Tia. Will you cry again when you find out? Every time you speak of your family, your eyes fill with profound sorrow. Seeing you like that fills me with unstoppable rage. Right now, I just want to tear that bastard Jerian to pieces. As his anger flared, Tia's sweet voice echoed in his memory, asking what kind of gift he wanted them to bring home. A kiss! Don't worry, the very first thing they will do when they get back is shower your sweet face with kisses. Yet, no matter how long I waited, those two never made it back home. That cold dinner for 4, Jerian's men reporting the terrible accident, and my mother sobbing uncontrollably are still burned into my mind like it was yesterday. Remembering that night, Tia's tears fell onto the report paper, like pearls slipping from a broken necklace. Eden, she sobbed, is there any chance this report is wrong? Unfortunately, the odds are slim to none, he replied. The noble bear tribe never lies, and honestly, it leaves both of us completely heartbroken. If you are joining me on this journey, get ready, because today we watch Eden comfort poor little Tia after a brutal revelation. Did Jerian really kill them with his own 2 hands? Tia asked, her heart completely shattered. Immunity to the blue moon belonged to your family, Eden explained, revealing a massive secret of the beastmen. When they die, those special powers transfer directly to the closest person, which means Jerian either killed them himself or was right there. If you are exhausted, just turn back into a cute kitten and cry. Hearing this, Tia transformed into a tiny kitten and burst into tears, while Eden held her with endless tenderness. I am sorry for getting fur all over your clothes, but he only asked her to cry before him in the future. I cannot stand others seeing you cry. Tell me, where will you go when your adoption period is over? First, I will seek revenge against Jerian. Seeing her silent pain, Eden quickly stepped in to make a proposal. You can live at the Vibis mansion. Really? She asked sleepily, right before drifting off into a deep slumber. Of course, forever, he murmured softly. The next day, opening her eyes, Tia sweetly greeted Zakar. She felt a bit confused, but Karis, standing by her side, explained everything in a gentle voice. Eden brought you back last night while you slept. You must have cried so much. Look how swollen your little eyes are. Tia was deeply touched. Did they sleep beside me so I would not feel lonely without my family? They are so incredibly good to me. Lord Zakar's tail fur is literally the warmest thing in the whole world. She looked so happy. Karis offered her food, but Zakar quickly changed the subject. Wait, I have something super important to do before we leave, she announced, leaving everyone completely baffled. Join me, Lord Zakar. First, stretch your front paws way out to the front. Next, lift your tail straight up and perk up your ears. This is so much fun. Seeing Zakar's deadpan face, Tia giggled inside. She always wanted to do this with him. Now, stand on 2 legs and move slowly. Zakar stared at her adorable little dance, completely frozen. Lord Zakar, hurry up, she urged him. With no other choice, the mighty wolf copied her. Once they finished, Karis burst out laughing. Utterly embarrassed by the situation, Zakar immediately shifted back into his imposing human form. We did the meow meow dance, Tia cheered, hugging him happily. Nobody else could ever soften this scary wolf like she does. Meanwhile, elsewhere, Delta was asking Sigmund the real reason behind their sudden meeting. Look at his cute and fluffy posture. Young Master Delta, your magic is truly astounding, Sigmund smiled. Did you mention Jerian was planning something shady? Yes, that arrogant fool vastly overestimates himself, Delta replied. Pay close attention here, because that idiot has no clue he only touched Blue Moon power thanks to us. Jerian is useless for building our leopard kingdom. We need our sweet tiny little Tia, do you not think? Stop talking in riddles and explain yourself clearly, Delta demanded with a serious glare. It is merely a theory, but the blue moon is actually a goddess's holy relic. If we use Tia's magic to secure the other relics, the Blue Moon's power will never dominate us again. The leopard gem, the bear mirror, and the sacred bow of the gray wolves. Jirian has already caught on to this and started making moves on our little Tia, Sigmund continued. We must secure her before he does, and the perfect chance is coming up during a massive event, the Wolf Memorial Festival. Meanwhile, over in the dining hall, Karis was asking Tia if she rested well. And did you sleep well? But believe me, we have got a long day of lessons and training ahead with our heroine. Before becoming a proper lady at 17, a female wolf must understand love, Tia heard with pure excitement. Lord Karis is going to teach me about love. What kind of beautiful romantic stories does he have ready for me? I heard about your situation from Elliot. Since ancient times, being a respectable wolf lady requires knowing how to love. If it is about love, I have already received so much. Tia smiled, making Karis instantly turn super serious. Do you actually know where babies come from? He asked. Of course, she replied, totally innocent. Two beastmen lie down together, entwine their tails, and sleep twice. Karis and Zakar stood frozen in absolute embarrassment. They definitely have a long way to go, and you and I will be right here to watch it all unfold. It is time to choose your maids, Karis suggested. She nodded and, after reviewing them, selected 6 candidates. Come along with me as we watch Tia examine 6 candidates, 4 wolves, a dog man, and a rabbit. But none of them carried that highly specific feline scent. After thinking for a moment, Tia asked them to introduce themselves and brew tea, using the set before them, so the maids stepped forward one by one. I promise to do my absolute best. I have a recommendation letter and the favor of the mistress of the house. After the selection, Eden read a book, noting he heard she chose 3 maids, to which Tia nodded in agreement. Jerian sent 2 spies. Explain to me how you managed to expose them, Eden asked with deep curiosity. Tia explained that all the finalists knew they would serve a young lady who was about to turn 17, but the care some of them offered was not at all appropriate for someone of that age. 2 maids named Mary and Anne placed 3 sugar cubes in the cups, almost as if planned to please my childhood tastes. Do you think they both are spies? Eden asked. Yes, Tia nodded. Creed will use his magic to watch them, so we will know very soon. Pay close attention here. Is she seriously keeping 2 spies? Yes, and she has an incredibly brilliant reason for it. And what was the reason for choosing the rabbit woman named Barneal? Tia vividly remembered their interview conversation. Hello, my name is Barneal. I am the cousin of Lay, the rabbit man you saved recently. Libby. Yes. She told me your hair is very thick. I am great at styling hair and would love to dress the young lady. She answered me with total honesty, Tia explained, very satisfied. Just at that moment, Karis opened the door and walked in, asking if Tia was in her room. It is time for that class on love we discussed. Lord Karis, Tia exclaimed, extremely excited. There must have been another candidate who prepared tea according to your personal preferences, Eden mentioned. You mean the wolf woman? I recall her manners were incredibly elegant. Was it not you who sent her, Master? Tia asked. How did you find out? Eden was taken aback. Tia explained that the Master always holds the teacup pointing in a very specific direction, so I assumed that perhaps the entire Vibis family drinks their tea in that exact same way. And since that maid also turned the cup in that specific direction before serving me, I deduced she came straight from your estate. Eden laughed upon hearing her explanation. If you change your mind later on, just let me know. That maid will do everything to make things easier and act as a liaison, but Tia stressed she preferred meeting him in person to report. I know what you are thinking, seeing Eden blush is rare. But Karis instantly understood the real purpose behind choosing that maid. That means she is the legendary head maid who transformed a woman completely indifferent to Hogwood into the Lady of Vibis. Now, I perfectly understand why Elliot insisted so much that I immediately begin Tia's love education. Keeping this in mind, Karis quickly said they must start the lesson to teach her about love between opposite sexes, and she gladly accepted. Upon reaching puberty, interest in the opposite sex arises. "Do you have any man in mind who attracts you?" he asked. "Of course," she answered. "There are so many," she added, leaving Karis completely frozen as if struck by lightning. Tia continued. "Aside from the maids, everyone around me is a man. I will always be grateful to all of them for taking such good care of me." Karis clarified he meant falling for someone outside the family, someone who makes your heart race, who you constantly think of and want to be in touch with, to the point where every little detail about that person matters, and you want to know them more and more. "Do you have anyone like that in your life?" Tia reflected for a second and replied that no one existed. Hearing this, Karis explained that when adult wolves fall in love after their coming-of-age ceremony, they seek much more intimate contact. Seeing Tia's bewildered face, Karis ordered Flora to bring the snacks. Flora immediately brought over several snacks, which excited young Tia quite a bit. "Will we eat sweets during the lesson?" Karis preferred not to answer with words, but nodded his head. Then he took a piece of French bread and a donut to tell her that, in simple terms, love is shared like this. At first, Tia was filled with anticipation, but as the explanation went on, utter terror slowly took over. As the class ended, Karis cut a small piece of bread and asked if she wanted it, but Tia immediately declined. She just could not recover from the shock. "Trust me. You and I feel her pain. Turns out babies do not just come from holding tails." "Are you okay?" Karis asked. "See you soon." "All right, you and I are about to watch Tia play it cool, even though this bitter truth totally breaks her heart. Unlike cats, wolves just naturally get these things. Now I finally see why people say those expressive beastmen act exactly like wolves. Luckily, I uncovered this vital secret just in time. As far as I am concerned, revenge is still my top priority. Romance? I will steer clear of that at all costs." But the moment men cross her mind, only Eden and Creed appear. Letting out a sigh of relief, she gladly thinks that none of these guys are paying her any special attention. What a relief! As long as I play it safe before leaving the estate, love will not ruin my plans for revenge. The very next day, once Reina hears about Tia's plan, she immediately agrees to help without a single second thought. She vows to keep any shady maids far away from her lady's food, earning a deeply grateful thank you from Tia. "Once this wraps up, I will hire a new crew, but for now, I am relying on you." Rhea gently tells her not to rush. "I am just happy to stay by your side a bit longer, my lady. By the way, what about that rabbit beast man?" Tia pauses, deciding it is best to just keep a close eye on him for a little while longer. "I cannot act like a child anymore. Caution is key." Soon, 3 new maids arrive, and Reina starts assigning their daily duties. "I expect the head maid has already thoroughly trained all of you on how to properly attend to Lady Tia." "Yes," they reply in perfect unison. Reina then turns to Mrs. Gray, explaining that Tia always starts her mornings with greenhouse tea. Now, watch closely. What Tia is silently planning over here changes everything. Since Sir Elliot is away today, there is no training. I invited both Creed and Eden for tea with a very specific goal. Sir Elliot warned me over and over again never to meet up with either of those two completely alone, so having both of them there solves the issue." Meanwhile, over in the greenhouse, Eden glares at Creed with pure annoyance. "What are you doing here?" Creed, however, simply keeps a smug, relaxed smile plastered across his face. "Obviously, because Our Lady invited me." Did the young master actually think this was a private date and dress up for it? The second Tia walks in, she immediately senses the heavy tension radiating between the two of them. She quickly calls out to them, saying that both Creed and Eden look incredibly handsome. She wanted to break the ice, but they immediately turn on each other, demanding to know which one she means. Left feeling awkward after her failed peace offering, she sits down, completely baffled by how incredibly dressed up they both are. You and I would definitely laugh seeing these two rivals trying so hard to impress. Trying to ease the tension, she jokes that she would have worn a fancier gown if she knew they were matching. Both of them are so gorgeous that anyone watching would fall head over heels. Hearing that makes them incredibly happy. But their joy is cut short when a clumsy maid slips, smashing the teapot completely. Sudden panic fills the room. Lady Tia, are you okay? Did you get burned? She quickly waves them off. Barniel is the one who broke the teapot. Bariel, you must be far more careful with boiling water. Sorry, Barniel apologizes. But hearing Flora's words, Tia's expression suddenly shifts, becoming incredibly dark and serious. Still making excuses, how absolutely despicable. I almost got hurt, so I cannot just let this slide. Take Barniel away immediately. Creed, handle this. Yes, my lady. Watching her get dragged out, the other maids whisper, that was close. Thank goodness Our Lady did not get hurt. Was the hot water too heavy? Little did they know, Tia is quietly observing every single move they make. Shortly after, Flora leads the other two maids inside, telling them they have 1 hour to get Tia fully dressed. Yes, head maid. Oh, and use her favorite perfume. Whatever you do, do not extinguish those scented candles. Just leave them burning. Once Flora leaves, the maids show their true colors, whispering about how she got thrown out over one mistake. Does that adopted girl actually think she runs this house? Well, at least this gives us more time to get closer. It was totally worth coating your hands in that slippery oil Jerian ordered you to use on the grand staircase. Exactly. But the crowd was too big. I really thought at least one of us would fail the selection process. I never expected both of us to make it, and I have no clue why she chose that rabbit. Naturally, every single word of their conversation reached Tia's ears, playing right into her hands. Trust me, you and I are about to find out if she can expose Anne and Mary as Jerian's spies. You and I are watching a genius move. I chose Barney as she seemed safe, but those other two spies? They will destroy anyone. Though I never imagined they would strike this incredibly fast. Even the treacherous Jerian would have spent a week spying first. Are these wolves actually more bold and direct than him? That cruel monster stole my father and brother's magical powers before brutally murdering them. Then he went after my mother and my little siblings. I cannot stand by anymore. I must act with my own hands. Even if my hands are soft and fluffy, I swear I will get my revenge. Tia immediately went to find her butler and maid. Look at the clever scheme she cooked up. Flora, Paul, I need you to do me a massive favor right now. Please separate Mary and Anne's sleeping quarters. Move their rooms as far away from each other as you possibly can. Do not give them any paper or ink. Though, knowing them, they will definitely bring their own writing tools, right? Now, pay attention to this twist. They will record the fake information I leak, completely unaware their reports are totally different. Is this the brilliant battle plan our young lady created? Paul chuckled, saying they already know about the spies. Those two traitors will not get a single second of peace. Flora agreed, saying if they want to steal Our Lady's secrets, they will have to work 10 times harder. Tia smiled at their fierce loyalty. Do whatever you need to do. I am leaving this entire trap in your capable hands. The following morning, I headed out to the training grounds. Surprisingly, the maid who insisted on following me was Mary. She said she would serve me this morning. Tia knew she could not afford to be nice to Jerian's secret spy. Tia bit her lip. Ever since childhood, she had been absolutely terrified of Jerian's sinister allies. That ends today. She remembered the bold words from Karis and her husband. Let's be real, this is going to get intense. If someone tries to hurt you, crush them like a gray wolf. I will show them I am not a helpless little kitten. With a cold voice, Tia declared. Very well then, Mary. Tia began her intense training session, forcing Mary to remain frozen in a deep bow. Now, here's where it gets delicious. Tia ignored her shaking and kept her down. Are you acting arrogant now? Creed sneaked up from behind to whisper the question. Yes, Tia replied. I will make her regret her betrayal until she doubts her own life." Tia clenched her fists in silence. "You have gotten quite clever," Creed admitted with a playful chuckle. "That should be enough for you to survive in the territory of the foxes." Foxes? Tia was highly confused. Creed explained that once her temporary adoption ends, her future is uncertain. Tia felt a sudden pang of sadness. "Lord Zachar and Karis told me it would be completely natural to stay in wolf territory for good. Even Eden wants me at his place," but then she paused. "Who really knows the future of a cat? Maybe I will end up living with the foxes." So she smiled cheerfully and said, "True, I still do not know my ultimate path." Creed laughed. "Let us finish quickly so we can bring back the rabbit men. Is Barneel doing okay?" she asked. He replied that she brushes fox fur daily now. "I keep her under close watch, so do not worry." Hearing Creed's reassuring words, Tia felt a massive wave of relief and a tiny spark of hope. "If she proves her innocence and we become friends, can I touch her soft ears? What beautiful weather today," she happily sighed. The moment she spoke, it began to pour rain. But that did not stop Tia's burning desire to keep training hard. Instead, she pushed herself even harder, forcing Mary to wipe down the wet wooden swords without a break. "How much more do I have to clean? I must hurry and steal the secrets," Jerian demanded. With her fur soaked and chores piling up, she is finally getting the miserable punishment she deserves. That cat Tia has a dreadful temper. She will throw someone out just for accidentally knocking over a pot of hot water. Jerian promised this kitten was incredibly naive and weak, predicting that she would be half dead from pure depression by this point. Instead, she walks tall and proud. The entire household absolutely adores her, and she behaves with insane arrogance. The more Mary thought about it, the angrier she grew, clenching her teeth so hard she did not notice Creed approaching. "Are you Mary?" Creed asked, scaring her half to death. "Do not worry, I am just the young lady's guard." "We will be seeing a lot of each other from now on," Creed said with a massive smile. "My name is Creed Forstein." Mary quickly searched her memory for any details about him. He was the official heir of the powerful fox tribe. And that's where we leave it for now. With more foxes arriving, their magic and power are about to hit next level. Alright, let's dive into this story where a scheming maid wonders how a little cat got such a prestigious guard. While she is lost in thought, Creed reaches out to her and says, "Serving the young lady must be exhausting, right? You already know how demanding she is." "Yes," Mary replied, placing her hand in his as Creed kept talking. "Unlike other wolves, our young lady has incredibly weak magic and must have suffered deep trauma. Under these conditions, it will be impossible for her to join real battles even when she grows up, which is exactly why she behaves so hysterically." Mary quickly replies, "Wow, I had no idea there was such a sad backstory." Meanwhile, Creed keeps muttering to himself. She has even decided to move to the territory of the foxes once her temporary adoption ends, so I have no choice but to help her myself. But look at this. Mary finally breathes a sigh of relief, thinking she has perfect intel for Jerian. She thinks, "I need to squeeze every bit of information out of this fool, Creed." For a long time, Creed complained to Mary about the wolves, repeating how often they used to lose their temper with him. And even though Mary was getting pretty impatient, listening to his entire survival story in this place, now watch closely because she only keeps listening to find more secrets. It seems Creed holds a massive grudge. Right at that moment, Tia's training session comes to an end, so Creed quickly stands up. "I must go attend to the lady, so I'll head out first. Hurry and finish your chores before she gets back." "Yes, Master Creed," Mary replies. Shortly after, Creed reports to Tia that he fed her plenty of fake news about her weak magic. "And she didn't suspect anything?" Tia asks. Creed answers that she was too busy working to doubt them. And here is the real twist. He already collected her mana. Since every beast person has a unique magic wavelength, they can now track everything Mary has laid her hands on. We don't know when Mary or Anne will try to send a report, so watch them closely, little Tia firmly orders. Of course, Creed nods. Let's head back now. I'll escort you so nobody gets suspicious about our long chat. I have finished all your chores, my lady, Mary says respectfully. You really are dedicated with your hands, Tia comments. Then next time I'll give you a bit more work, all right? Yes, of course, Mary replies with a very awkward laugh. Inside, Mary keeps cursing this insolent little kitten, but she knows she has to work hard to earn her complete trust. Tia waves her hand. Go to your room and wash up right now. I don't like my carpet getting dirty. Understood, my lady, Mary mutters reluctantly as time quickly flies by to the afternoon of the very next day. You and I both know she's a spy, but she politely says, My lady, I'm Anne and I'll serve you. This is my personal guard, Creed, Tia introduces. Hello, Anne, the boy greets her, warmly reaching out his hand. Anne's face turns completely red as she shakes his hand, while Tia watches the whole scene in absolute silence. Apparently, many maids react this way upon meeting Creed. She used to think they were just shy, shaking his hand, but ever since taking lessons from Lord Karras, she realizes Creed is genuinely handsome and super friendly. Is that why they all end up blushing around him? Noticing her intense stare, Creed asks what she's thinking, but she nervously replies that it is absolutely nothing. Is that so? Creed teases. Next time you stare at me like that, you'll have to warn me first. Tia smiles, saying goodbye until tomorrow. Once inside, her nanny warns her that she needs to hurry and bathe. It is time to prepare for her lessons. While the little girl heads to the bath, her loyal nanny instructs Anne. Anne, when serving the young lady, you must be extremely careful with many details. You must comb her fur lock by lock and then clean everything up. That's how we prep for the lessons. Come along with me while Raina chatters away happily. Tia prepares for her first afternoon class in a long time. Thanks to Eden's rigorous lessons, she became highly skilled at managing the Wolf Clan's affairs and learned so much about the beast world, ready to settle down in any territory in the future. Even though Eden was incredibly strict at first, she realized later that he is actually an excellent teacher. Seeing Tia look distracted, Eden curiously asks what she is thinking, and her reply about him leaves him totally frozen. Thinking of me? Eden coughs shyly as Tia quickly changes the subject to study the Northern Territory. The North is the territory of the bears, Eden continues, a region completely blanketed in deep ice and snow. Hearing this, Tia comments that if she walked around in her cat form, her tiny paws would freeze to the ground. Let's dive into a land where auroras dance like ribbons in the sky. Trust me, I definitely have to visit there someday. Tia thought she could visit after resolving the blue moon matter. Then Eden asked her to summarize today's lessons on paper. By the time Tia finished writing, Eden had already fallen fast asleep. Thinking about how exhausted he must be from helping her despite his busy schedule, she rested her head on her hands to watch him in silence. He will soon become the leader of the Vibis family, meaning they won't be able to see each other as often as now. Just as she stared at him, completely mesmerized, Eden opened his eyes and asked how long she planned to stare, demanding the summary. Tia's face flushed instantly and her heart raced. You scared me. I thought you were asleep, she exclaimed. I'm tired, Eden said, getting up. I'll read this in my room. Right then, Raina and Anne walked in with some snacks. My lady, I brought the snacks. Since the young master said he was tired and left, we might as well enjoy them ourselves. Tia smiled and agreed, while Raina mentioned that she had just seen him walking out of the room. However, young Master Eden was red all the way to his ears. Rhea wondered if he was feeling sick. He's been running back and forth between Vib and Grey Wolf lately. Did he push himself too hard and fall ill? Tia thought about it and found it highly likely. You're right. He even fell asleep earlier. It was completely my fault. Raina, ask Paul for Eden's medicine. And now, watch closely as she begins feeding different rumors to Anne and Mary separately. The days flew by amidst my busy schedule, and soon my birthday arrived. The one helping me dress now is the spy, Anne. Combing my hair strand by strand must tire her arms out. I clearly don't plan on giving her easy tasks. My lady! Rena exclaimed excitedly. I heard that Lord and Lady Vera have just arrived. Rena regretted that the young masters missed the ladies' fashion show. Tia asked when her brothers would return to the estate. They told her in a few days. Thanks to their excellent grades, they got 3 weeks of vacation. My brothers? Tia wondered excitedly if they could build snowmen together upon their return. She was truly looking forward to that moment. As soon as Tia appeared, she stole the spotlight. My young lady, it has been quite some time since we last saw you. You have grown so much. Welcome, ma'am, Tia greeted with a bow. You're much taller than before. I barely recognize you. You are quite the elegant lady now. I've been eagerly waiting for the young lady to grow up. You must visit my boutique when the time comes. Of course, you've always made my dresses, ma'am. Then Elliot announced, for young Lady Tia's grand birthday celebration, let the fashion show begin. Lady Vera, try not to sigh so loudly when the young lady changes her dress, as it might interrupt the Lord's appreciation. All right, let us now welcome the young lady's new dress. Wow! Pia exclaimed in wonder. The shaft of these boots is short, and the soles feel incredibly soft. Then she turned to Karis and Zakar to ask how she looked. Don't blink, because they both stared with the exact same thought. So this is what money is for, Lady Vera. Can these boots and dresses be ordered in other colors? Karis asked. Mrs. Vera quickly replied, Of course, m'lady. If you wish, we can also add some fur decorations. Did you hear that, Zakar? Karis smiled. If we add wolf fur details, she will look truly adorable. Zakar's face flushed suddenly. It seemed like just yesterday, Tia was a tiny girl, and in a flash, she's grown so much. Yes. Karis sighed with nostalgia, watching Tia show off a huge variety of beautiful outfits. Zakar added, Children grow up far too fast. Karis ended up remembering the rebellious puberty of Theo and Devon when she only wished they would grow up fast. Dad, I'll be the continent's greatest dark mage. Understood. But don't wear an eye patch if there's nothing wrong with your eye. Come along with me for this. Mom, music is my life. I'll be a musical dove. Although a Devon wolf would never be a dove. Thinking about this, both of them expressed complete confusion. Did Tia somehow skip her rebellious phase? While they wondered, they heard Tia calling out excitedly, asking Lord Zakar and Lord Karis to look at her dress. Seeing her, both praised her, saying the pink suited her beautifully. It really won't be long until she reaches adulthood. She turns 17 this time. Harris sighed with emotion, wondering if they should raise the age of adulthood to 20. Zakar asked. That would be best, and we should definitely be able to pass that law within these 2 years. Our Tia is just too adorable. A little girl who suddenly appeared at our door one day, so sweet you want to hug her tight. If our own little daughter were still alive, she surely would have become great friends with Tia. Let's jump into this heartwarming scene where Karis couldn't hold back her tears, while Zakar gently tried to comfort her. Don't overthink it. I really wish time would slow down so we could see every single side of our little girl. Seeing her happy, sad, or in love, well, let's skip the love part. Right in that tender moment, Eden walked in. Lord Zakar, Lord Karis, I have news. My father has returned to our territory, so I must go back for a while. Eden explained. Zakar nodded in agreement, letting him head back. I heard Hogwood prepared a gift for Tia, and your father is visiting the day before. Let's see what happens then. Eden! Tia called out loudly. Turning to face her, the boy's face instantly flushed red, and his voice started shaking. Tia. And pay close attention here, because Karis and Zakar's alarm bells started ringing. Our little Tia is just too beautiful. How do I look? Tia asked excitedly, but poor Eden was completely frozen and unable to answer her question. Instead, with a bright red face, he looked at Karis and Zakar, promising to return and visit in a few days. The second Eden left, Karis immediately started gossiping with Zakar. By the way, did you know Eden tried giving the legendary Vibis family maid to our Tia? What? Zakar gritted his teeth, warning him they couldn't lower their guard. Now, pay attention here, because if Tia falls into his trap and falls in love, both of them are going to lose it. It would be an absolute tragedy for our beloved Artia. Lord Zakar, Lord Karis, Creed approached to report that the young masters returned earlier than expected. Very well, Zakar nodded. Thanks for letting us know. My brothers are back, Tia cheered. Hearing her, Creed turned around and blushed furiously. Dad's protective alarm started ringing again. And guess what? Creed told her she looked absolutely breathtaking. Really? Tia smiled happily. Thank you. This dress suits you beautifully, Creed insisted, gently reaching out his hand to her. Seeing this, Karis and Zakar jumped up, absolutely furious at the sheer boldness of this fox beast man. Where did this fox demon even come from? They quickly rushed over to Tia to separate her from Creed immediately. Tia, let's go. Welcome Theo and Devon. They should be arriving any second now. Thankfully, we have so many beautiful clothes again this year. Let's go see Theo and Devon. Tia cheered excitedly as they arrived. The two brothers were absolutely thrilled. You tiny, fluffy little thing, you're still as cute as ever. Ha ha. Paris laughed. Go ahead, I'll let you run on forward. Thank you. Watch closely as Tia runs, shifts into a cute kitten, and jumps into Theo's arms, while Devon eagerly begs for a hug too. Devon! Tia purred affectionately. Our little princess, your fur has gotten so much fluffier lately. Do you want a welcome kiss? Really? After kissing Devon's cheek, Tia gave Theo a sweet kiss too. Wow, our youngest has grown so much. No wonder you're so incredibly fluffy in your animal form. Of course I am, Tia boasted proudly. I'm a big girl now, and I'm working hard to grow up so I can be independent when the time comes. But she had absolutely no idea that those simple words would completely shatter her brothers' hearts. Our little one is too cruel. Tia realized she messed up, since her brothers had just returned after a whole year. Is it too early to talk about moving out? Come to think of it, we've never actually discussed this seriously. How will I live on my own? What will I do after that? I need to share my future plans. Maybe they'll stop worrying once they hear them. Soon, the three siblings were as close and loving as ever. Tia, look at this round toy I made for you. Oh, right, Raina, bring that box over. Do you still love boxes so much? Devon asked, lifting Tia up. Theo laughed at the sight. It reminds me of your childhood. And trust me, watching them put her back in the box is adorable. In this heartwarming story, Tia actually felt a little helpless dealing with that massive box. When they brought the box, Tia pulled out 2 long strips of fabric and gave one to each brother. Tia explained she knitted them while waiting for their return. They examined them very carefully but couldn't quite figure out what they were. Still, they praised her efforts, right before she cutely asked if her handmade scarves weren't absolutely beautiful. Hearing this, the brothers quickly lied that they were gorgeous and insisted on wearing them right away. But once they put them on and saw how worn and messy they looked, they completely lost their words. Noticing their silence, Tia worriedly asked if they were too thin, but Devon quickly shook his head. He claimed they were perfect, and that's where we leave these brothers, desperately trying to survive their sister's adorable gift. Let's dive into this heartwarming story where Theo is absolutely thrilled to feel such soft, fluffy wool. Step on them in your animal form, and you'll feel like you're floating on clouds. That's why I call them deep sleep scarves. Thank you, Tia. I'll treasure them. Hearing that, she let out a sigh of relief. Happy her gift was a total success. Now it was time to discuss her plans. Once she had her revenge on Jerian, she wanted to start a knitting business. As soon as I'm independent, I'll knit tons of clothes and pack them in large boxes to sell. I know you're worried about me leaving, but I'll prepare seriously. Don't worry, I'll do great on my own. Do you really think you can make a living selling these? Paris couldn't believe it, while Zakar tried to be subtle. You still have time before you're officially an adult, so you can think about this very slowly. But she worried that if she waited until her adoption was finalized to talk about leaving, Wouldn't it seem like she was begging them to ask her to stay? Plus, she didn't want to burden Karis, who still mourned her lost child. Karis shares that same terrible pain of losing her family, just like me. When she looks at me, she must think of her little girl, right? Just like I do. Tia, didn't we agree you would live with the wolves once you became independent? Karis asked, and she explained. But if I travel for business, I can't stay in one spot. Pay close attention to her innocent response to Zakar's question. Master Eden suggested I live in Vebus, and Creed promised to help me settle in with the foxes. Instantly, the protests poured in. Absolutely not. The fox territory is way too far away. Vebus is no place for a lady. For your next birthday, I'll get you a home with the gray wolves. Little one, men aren't just wolves and foxes. Well, I guess that's true, she replied, resigned. Is this just the classic stubbornness of wolves? Karis lifted her up and whispered that the future is uncertain. There's no rush, little one. Don't worry about it now. That warm embrace slowly lulled her into a deep sleep. I wanted to keep talking, but Karis's hug is so cozy. How does she make me fall asleep so fast? Devin was surprised, but Zakar reminded him that as babies, their mother held them both to make them sleep instantly. Does Tia really want to leave and become independent? Karis asked. It's likely because of what Eden told me, Zakar said. Once she's grown, her main goal is finding Jerian. I know what you're thinking, they have 2 years. But the real issue is all those rivals targeting their little girl. So Zakar filled the two brothers in on everything that had happened while they were away. Those guys were absolutely furious to hear it. Zakar added that they shouldn't worry about Eden for now. The brothers shared a knowing look. During this time, they just needed to keep a close eye on Creed. With that in mind, they began plotting. The next day, on her way to training, she spotted them and waved excitedly. Oh, and where is Creed? They claimed he took the day off, and she simply nodded along. In reality, they had totally set him up. Looking at them closely, she made an unexpected comment. My brothers have grown so much lately. Theo laughed with pride upon hearing her sweet compliment. We've been training incredibly hard. Really? Because the way you talk is starting to sound exactly like Elliot. That simple line completely froze them in their tracks. How? They wanted to be quiet, serious wolves like Dad. Does our admiration for Zakar resemble Elliot's? If anything, Creed is the one who acts just like him. That guy is so loud and talkative. If Eden came to our room, he'd surely end up like us. Hearing this, she asked if Eden was heading to the central combat arena. They went dead silent, realizing they had said too much. Shoot! Eden had specifically told them to keep it a secret. After thinking quickly for a second, both answered at the exact same time that they had no idea. She didn't push any further, knowing that no matter how strict he was, he'd never leave without saying goodbye. After all, they've known each other for 10 years. Suddenly, Mary came running up to them. Miss, please forgive my lateness. It is fine, Mary, but since you are late, you'll have to work twice as hard. Seeing the massive pile of boots, Mary froze in shock, but she quickly nodded and accepted the task. Damn it, she thought, squeezing her cleaning cloth. This way, she wouldn't have any time to gather information. And trust me, with the clock ticking, giving up is simply not an option for her. If I do not stand out, I am toast. Let us dive in and see how she braves this storm. Once this job is done, I will have the money, Jerian promised. Enough to last a lifetime. While Tia trained incredibly hard, her two brothers watched proudly, constantly repeating how amazing their little sister is. Even adult wolves would struggle to match her aim. Elliot nodded, amazed by her skills that surpassed any seasoned warrior. Honestly, I did not expect her to last this long in the fog. Have you heard from Lady Reyna? The poor woman cannot even sleep properly because of all the anger she feels toward Jerian. She shines like the sun outside, but is stronger than anyone within. As my star pupil, this growth is natural. Elliot said this in a rather smug tone. Hearing this, the outraged brothers complained, Thought we were your star pupils? He simply replied he prefers those who actually work hard. During the break, Creed burst in shouting, "My lady!" Tia smiled, and he announced good news while shooting a deadly glare at the brothers. Both were startled to see him. They never imagined Creed would escape their trap so quickly. While pulling out 2 letters, Creed complained about how hard he works for his lady. Now, pay close attention here. While dodging the brothers, Creed managed to intercept the spy's letters. After moving to a safe spot, Creed explained that the left one was from Mary, and the other from Anne. Both contained traces of their magic. "Just as I suspected," Tia murmured as she began reading them. "They were planning to send Jerian all the information they had managed to gather on me. If we had not discovered they were spies and acted in time, we would be in grave danger. They recorded even the smallest detail, including my future plans of where to live as an adult. Anne mentioned the Grey Wolf territory and Mary the Foxes, thanks to our distraction tactics." "Creed, where did you get these letters?" Tia asked. "In the mailbox residents used to send their mail," Creed replied. "The envelopes they used carried their own magic signature, making them very easy to track. Anne's is addressed to her father and Mary's to her cousin. Despite those names, the actual destination will change magically over time." "Can you decode the real destination?" Tia asked. "Of course," Creed nodded confidently. "Lord Elliot." Tia turned to order him. "Investigate those residing at these real addresses immediately, and send these letters filled with false information straight to Jerian." "Understood." Elliot nodded. "Any other orders?" "On my birthday, I will visit the Grey Wolf shopping district, and he will surely send foxes to capture me." "Do not take unnecessary risks," Elliot warned. "We must double security for such a dangerous outing." "I will give you details later." "Creed, can you put the letters back in their original place?" "You saw that coming, right?" Creed is copying the letters, which instantly delights our leading lady. She believed foxmen were natural experts at forging signatures, but Creed calmly corrected her. "That is a bit of a stereotype about us. But for you, my lady, I can mimic anything." "Really? What should I do?" "Analyze Anne and Mary's handwriting carefully. It will be extremely useful later on." "Thank you, Creed." Seeing them laughing so close together, the brothers erupted in pure jealousy. Elliot observed the scene in silence, slowly putting the pieces together in his mind. Could the young masters have trapped Creed? Days later, the arrival of Eden and Lord Hogwood was announced. "Would you like me to help you get ready, my lady?" Anne asked falsely. "Yes, please," Tia nodded. While styling her hair, Anne kept flattering her, praising her elegant hair and stunning figure. "You look beautiful, even in casual clothes." Hearing this, Tia realized Anne was vastly different from Mary. "I feel like you have always cared for me." Anne was startled, but immediately started humming happily. Watching her, Tia felt deep disgust. She is far worse than Mary, who at least shows her dislike openly. Look at this traitor, who completely forgot her actual role as a spy. Their fate is sealed, and trust me, they deserve it. "Hello, little one. Long time no see." Hogwood greeted her warmly, but Eden quickly corrected him. "Her name is Tia, Lord Hogwood." "Welcome, both of you." "All right, let's jump into this scene together." Tia runs to greet them, and Hogwood asks if tomorrow is her birthday, calling her a little sweetheart. Eden corrects him right away. Hogwood just laughs and calls him a brat, teasing that he acts like they are already married. But before he can even finish, Hogwood feels the terrifying, murderous glares of Karis and Zakar. Hogwood asks Zakar why he looks so angry. He deadpans, asking if the little one is still scared of wolves. "Keep your distance. You must be joking," Hogwood stammers. Meanwhile, the two protective brothers waste no time blocking Eden's path. "Eden, my friend, long time no see. Let us go have a chat in a quiet corner. You will not refuse, right?" Once the three of them slip away to a more private spot, Eden asks what they want to say to him. Immediately, the brothers point to themselves and demand answers, asking if Eden has been bothering their sweet little Tia. He heard that during their last vacation they got along like siblings, so Eden really does not get what they are worrying about. Eden sadly looks away and reminds them that they all know very well he will have to leave sooner or later. Even so, you have crossed the line, Theo complains. Devon adds they heard he chased away the wolf knight, who confessed to Tia. Eden goes silent. Honestly, look at that face, his lonely expression makes him look way too handsome. Seeing him like this, the brothers immediately soften. They only ask that he does not break Tia's heart. If our sweet girl gets hurt, we will never forgive you, got it? And stop looking so insanely handsome around her. You looked so good just now, it threw me off. Stop talking such cheesy nonsense, Eden snaps back. To help her move on, you have to act completely normal. Understood? We are leaving. But give us an answer first. The next morning, Tia looks at her family portrait and whispers, "Did you sleep well? Today is my birthday. 10 years have passed since then. I have grown up safe and I am 17 now, so do not worry about me. Be happy in heaven. When we go to the shopping district today, Jerian will get the reports and send his fox beastkin. I have done everything necessary. Now, it is time to decide the punishment for those two traitors." While she is plotting, a soft knock sounds. Her two brothers gently open the door and ask if she is inside. "Before we head to the village, we wanted to give you this special gift." They hand her an elegant box. "What is this?" she asks curiously. Theo tells her they prepared it a long time ago. "We want our little girl to carry this when she goes shopping." Opening the box, she finds a beautiful short sword. This elegant weapon has the exact same design as Dialogue, Theo's own sword, and Compromise, Devon's sword. "How is it? Do you like it?" "I love it," she replies. "Then hurry up and give it a fitting name." Tia thinks for a moment and names it Persuasion. Dialogue, Compromise, and Persuasion. They make a perfect set. You will be dealing with those fox beastkin today, so we prepared this just in case. Of course, we will handle everything so our little girl does not have to fight. Thank you, brothers. Happy birthday to me, Tia thinks. Arriving at the village shopping street, Tia orders Anne to wait in the carriage while Mary accompanies her. "Understood, my lady," they reply in unison. Looking at the crowded, lively street, Tia whispers softly, "I wish things could stay this peaceful, but you and I know it is never that easy." Suddenly, her body shivers. It is here she feels the blue moon's aura. Instantly, a mind-controlled mob starts marching straight toward her. Tia draws her brand-new short sword and stands her ground. "Tia, get back!" Eden steps forward, shielding her with his body. Thanks to their perfect teamwork, they quickly bring the attackers down. "Are you okay? Did they hurt you?" her brothers ask, worried. Tia shakes her head, relieved to control the situation. Eden stares at her, completely confused, and asks if they had not planned to keep her strength hidden. Feeling a bit guilty under his intense gaze, Tia looks away. "My lady, everything is ready," Elliot calls out. "Everyone stand back. The young lady will purify them." Hearing this, the two spies hidden in the crowd get incredibly excited. "We will finally see how that cat purifies the madness and claim the massive fortune Jerian promised us. Hurry up and remove that awful madness." Tia concentrates her magic, transforms into an adorable little kitten, and starts frantically rubbing against the victims. With her energetic kitty moves, the madness melts away. The young lady has purified the evil. Elliot cheers. This ridiculous scene leaves the two spies absolutely speechless. Seriously, what kind of trick is this? "We will handle the next beastkin. I will try my best." Meanwhile, you and I are left wondering what those spies will do next. Let's dive in as she finds the process incredibly simple, finally understanding why they hid this powerful ability for so long. If Jaren ever finds out, that cat is totally doomed. After all that immense effort, Tia was completely paralyzed with exhaustion. Elliot asked if she was exhausted upon arriving at the duchy, and Tia replied in a faint, weak voice, She claimed she was fine, but Anne and Mary were already planning to write to Jerian about her extreme physical exhaustion. The very next day, as Tia sat quietly knitting, her mind drifted back to all the lovely details of her birthday. Her birthday party had been so much fun, and Mr. Hogwood had even gifted her an absolutely massive salmon. Don't miss this part. Eden gave her a writing set, while Lord Zacher and Lord Carris gifted her a wolf fur cloak and bag. Thinking back, Tia smiled. This year, not only the cloak but also the bag was decorated with cute, hanging fur ornaments. She wondered just how much fur they had to cut. Right then, Creed's voice suddenly echoed from behind her door. He asked if she was inside. Tia immediately played weak and told him to enter, making him laugh at her dramatic acting. Creed walked in, letting her know it was just him, while teasingly praising her incredible performance from the day before. Tia asked if she really looked convincing, and he assured her she did, while quietly pulling out 2 more letters. While she was busy enjoying her birthday party, they had been writing these letters with absolute diligence. Tia eagerly asked to see them, quickly tearing the envelopes open. They stated that just as Jerian feared, while the cat can cure the blue moon's madness, the process is extremely exhausting. It drains too much stamina to be useful in battle. And you and I both know he is going to take this bait, right? Creed asked if the target would fall for it, and Tia nodded, telling him to put the original letters back for Jerian. He agreed and turned to leave, but Tia stopped him, wanting to express how truly grateful she had always been to him. Holding out a beautifully wrapped gift box, she explained it was not a bribe for future plans, but genuine, heartfelt gratitude. When he stayed silent, Tia gently called his name. Creed snapped out of it, apologizing and admitting nobody had thanked him in forever. Tia added that the captured fox beastmen who were taken to the leopard territory must be deeply grateful to him as well. "My lady," Creed murmured in a soft, deep voice. "They were captured because of me," she admitted, but she still remembered how desperately he had fought to rescue them all. Creed's heart wavered, feeling like he was only driven by guilt, helplessness, and an incredibly heavy burden. That was why he struggled so desperately in such a pathetic way. Every time he watched them slip into madness, he wondered if it was his fault for using them as shields to escape. Worried, Tia called his name, asking if he was okay. Creed remained trapped in his deep guilt, convinced he did not deserve to become the next leader of the Fox clan. He felt unworthy of her sweet comfort, but raising her voice, Tia playfully demanded that he just open the gift already. Creed snapped back to reality and asked if he could look inside, only to find a rather peculiar, knitted object. Trying to be polite, he asked if it was a very cute golden radish, but Tia immediately cut in to correct him. She proudly explained it was actually his tail. Stunned by the cute resemblance, Creed asked when she had even made it. Tia explained that after he helped her so much with Anne and Mary, she wanted to give him something in return. So she knitted him this special token of appreciation while working on the gifts she made for her own brothers. Creed insisted his assistance was really no trouble at all, but Tia warmly reminded him that it meant the world to her. Besides, knitting is exhausting work, so she jokingly told him he better cherish all the hard work she put into it. Deeply moved, Creed stepped closer, gently pressed a sweet kiss onto her forehead, and bid her a soft farewell. It was such a tender moment, as he promised he would cherish her beautiful gift and sweet words for the rest of his life. After Creed left her utterly dazed from that sweet kiss on the forehead, it was already time for her next lesson with Eden. Switching topics, they began discussing the Mirror of the Goddess, one of the sacred relics currently located in the Bear Clan's territory. Its exact location remains a complete mystery, with only the Powie family knowing where it is hidden. Ever since that fateful Blue Moon incident, they cut off all outside contact, making it almost impossible to gather any new information. The Blue Moon, which is also a sacred relic, unleashes absolute madness. They hid this truth to stop the mirror from becoming feared, since it was supposed to be a sacred, precious relic. If anyone doubted its divinity, the entire governing system of the Powie family would instantly crumble to pieces. She knew they would fall like disgraced holy leaders, leaving you and me to wonder how far some will go to keep power. Join me as Tia smiles, asking if there is more to learn today. No, Eden replies, ending the lesson. He suddenly stands up, coldly stating he has nothing left to teach her. What do you mean? Tia asks, totally confused as she watches him hurriedly get dressed. Class is over. Before she can even process this, he coldly adds, they likely won't see each other again. Her world shatters right here as Tia finally realizes this is his final goodbye. 10 years of lessons, gone in an instant. Heartbroken, she begs to go with him to the VB property. It is hard to say I will be busy, he replies, leaving her completely crushed by his distant tone. Why sound like we will never meet again? That night, seeing her so down, Zakar worriedly asks what is wrong. She shoots back instantly. Eden is hiding something from me, and I know you are keeping his secret too. The doubt is keeping me awake. Please, Lord Zakar, tell me what Eden is hiding, she desperately begs. Now watch closely as Zakar stays silent, remembering when he asked Eden why he hid his upcoming departure. Her brothers are gone. If she knew I was leaving too, it would completely break her, Eden had confessed. Seeing her suffer would strip away my strength to leave for the Central Martial Arts Arena. So please, keep quiet. Eden had kept his promise to teach her, despite his own brutal schedule. Zakar cannot betray that trust, so he quickly decides to shift the conversation to something else. Forget about that, Tia, Zakar says, breaking the news that fresh intelligence reports just arrived. The leopards plan to strike the central arena during Eden's succession ceremony, leaving her absolutely speechless. Using the blue moon to make the wolves destroy themselves? Yes, but we do not know their numbers. If it is a small strike, I am confident I can handle the situation on my own. I know what you're thinking. The stakes are insane. If the wolves lose control, the leopards win easily. And their real target? Capturing our leading lady. Too many variables are at play, and the more Tia processes this, the more her head throbs. Zakar gently pats her head to comfort her. Worst case, everyone depends on you, so do not stress yet. Just protect yourself. She nods, and seeing her calm down, Zakar lets out a relieved sigh. The following morning, her maid prompts her to put on her cloak for the journey. The central arena is freezing. Tia smiles, thanking Reina just as Theo shouts that it is time to leave. I am so excited to travel outside, Tia admits, wearing a bright smile. On the road, the brothers proudly show her the sights. Look, that is the famous Mount Au. It is the tallest peak in wolf territory. This place is hands down the absolute best. The Fox's salmon are tiny, but the ones in VB territory are as massive as whales. But we have valleys with giant fish. This territory is so vast, Tia sighs in complete awe. In cat territory, there is nowhere to farm, so we are always running short on food. Recalling her struggles, Tia murmurs that working such massive lands must be incredibly hard work. Hearing this, Zakar admits that a massive amount of fertile land actually sits completely abandoned. It would be amazing if hardworking cats could actually farm those unused pieces of land. What about the rabbit people fleeing leopards? We gave them land for crops, Zakar answers. But the harvest failed. So, what do you think happens next? Devon asks, and she nods back with visible excitement. Trust me, you and I are about to enter a legendary territory holding the goddess's bow. But this looming leopard ambush is honestly keeping me right on the edge of my seat. Besides, is he not there too? Yes, Eden. Meanwhile, let me speak with Lord Geryon. So loud. Just this once, I beg of you. Let him go, Geryon says, noticing an old woman trying to speak. Lord Geryon, the old woman, suddenly drops to her knees, crying that her daughter is starving terribly. Could you spare us a little more food? Jerian scoffs, asking if the rations are not already fixed. It is freezing, the old woman pleads. She is sick, cannot work, and is expecting a baby. Jerian prepares to respond, tightly squeezing the hilt of the short sword in his hand. Her family must share. We did, she cries, but it is not enough for a pregnant woman. Let's dive into the feline territory, where Jerian darkly asked if anyone was eating their fill. Trembling, the old woman muttered that she heard all the food in the granary had completely spoiled. Are you questioning how the leader who carries the weight of the entire feline tribe manages the food? Jerian grumbled about that brat, realizing it was the exact same situation as that young girl from their past. He threw her out thinking she was useless, only to find she has the power to cleanse Blue Moon madness. Order this woman out, Jerian commanded coldly, knowing that as a mere stray cat, she could easily be abandoned next. By nature, a cat could never defeat a leopard, but he refuses to yield, cursing Sigund for everything. As Jerian gritted his teeth, Sigund suddenly appeared out of nowhere, completely catching him off guard. Jerian jumped in fright, while Sigmund playfully teased if he missed him so much that he shouted his name. Angered by this boldness, Jerian reminded him not to burst in, causing Sigmund's expression to turn serious in an instant. With a solemn face, he asked Jerian about the rumor that their sweet little girl had been attacked by foxes. Those words made Jerian swallow nervously, but Sigmund smiled again, hinting that he was the mastermind behind the attack. Jerian cursed silently at how incredibly cunning this guy was. Still, he handed over some letters, claiming he also wished to earn the favor of Lord Delta. He planned to share this at the next meeting, making Sigmund hum with immense satisfaction. Behind him, Jerian trembled uncontrollably, realizing a leopard is always a leopard. The tension was suffocating. You and I both know how precious our little girl is, Sigmund sighed, reading the letters with excitement. Calling Jerian trash for abandoning such a lovely child, he noted that was exactly why he could work with them. When Sigmund questioned if the information was genuine, Jerian nearly exploded with rage. Would I ever dare deceive Lord Delta? Fine, I will believe you just this once. Hand over the replica of the Blue Moon and do not try anything funny. As long as our king is safe, all is well. Jerian shook with rage at Sigmund's arrogance, silently vowing to show him what he was truly capable of. Meanwhile, Zachar's family enjoyed lunch in the meadow, happily sighing over how delicious the grilled fish tasted. Devon praised the beautiful Grey Wolf territory, suggesting they go out for more fun once training ends next year. Their vast land is so rich in resources that a whole lifetime of traveling wouldn't be enough to explore it all. You must keep visiting even after the adoption ends, they insisted, making Tia laugh softly as she agreed. Since she planned to start her own business, she might not visit often, but Theo was completely understanding. As adults, they wouldn't see each other daily, so perhaps visiting twice a week would be enough. But Devon argued that twice was way too little, demanding 3 times plus weekends for overnight stays instead. Tia felt a deep warmth in her heart, realizing how much the wolves truly cherish their family bonds. Even when the adoption ends, she knew they would welcome her back warmly, insisting she absolutely must visit them. No changing your mind, sweet little girl, they teased. And after lunch, they finally arrived at the central training grounds. A stern officer with a grim face introduced himself as Flood, the commander of the central training camp. Upon seeing Flood, both brothers immediately stood at strict attention like disciplined soldiers. Seeing this, Tia confirmed that you and I were totally right. They are absolutely terrified of this man. Then she heard Theo whisper that the commander is heartless and will fight ruthlessly even when severely injured. There is even a terrifying rumor that if you see the commander show any emotion, you might drop dead instantly. Our sweet protagonist confidently stepped forward to greet him. Though he looked far scarier than Zachar or Hogwood, she politely offered a warm greeting. Introducing herself as Tia, Commander Flood responded and reached out to shake her hand. He wondered about those notoriously soft hands everyone kept praising, so Tia removed her gloves to show him both. The moment they touched, Flood's stern expression softened completely, leaving both brothers utterly shocked by the change. Unbelievable! The brothers gasped in awe, witnessing the legendary power of her amazingly soft hands. To think even Commander Flood fell for it, they had never seen him make such a gentle face before. Hearing this, Tia joked, wondering if she'd drop dead from those rumors. Guess we'll find out together. All right, let's dive into this. Devon laughs, saying only our delicate girl can rattle their terrifying boss. Hearing that boosted Tia's confidence. Her hands were ready for action. But right at that very moment, Elliot, standing nearby, suddenly cut in. I just clicked my tongue and spoke up. Too bad, like that time I fell from the third-floor dorms goofing off with classmates. Elliot quickly changes the subject, guiding us straight toward our spectacular new destination, the Central Martial Arts Arena. Welcome to the arena. Pay attention here, because this room is about to show us a huge surprise. But to her surprise, the place was spotless and perfectly organized, shocking her. We share a double room. As you can see, it is super clean, right? Theo said, looking absolutely bursting with pride. Devon kept explaining they wake up early to run 10 laps around the arena and live passionately. That is our promise. And then, Tia played along. After washing up, we eat breakfast devotedly, then read and meditate. And what books have you been reading? Tia kept asking. Right then, Elliot grabbed a book and offered it to her, but a highly suspicious pamphlet slipped out. Dead silence filled the room. Brothers, Tia said, picking up the flyer, I think you should meditate less. What is your favorite place here? Tia asked again. The cafeteria. Both of them replied at the exact same time. Tia sighed, wishing they would at least try to act cool in front of their little sister. I know what you are thinking. Where is Eden? After a long silence, they started making cheap excuses. Eden is way too busy taking over the family leadership. Yeah, so busy we do not even know when we will see him. After all, he was always an extremely busy person. You are right, Tia nodded, without adding anything else. If training starts soon, we won't see each other for ages. Eden definitely hid this from me on purpose. If leaving without saying goodbye is his big secret, I will be furious. Meanwhile, a cup slipped from Eden's hand. Did you hurt yourself, Eden? Hogwood asked. I am fine, he replied. I just felt a sudden chill down my spine. You have been so distracted lately. Are you worried about leaving without saying goodbye to our little soft hands? Hogwood read his mind. She would have been so sad if I said goodbye, Eden said. I did not want her hurting. Saying goodbye is also a sign of respect, Eden, Hogwood advised him. If you vanish out of nowhere like that, how do you think the person left behind feels? Vanishing in silence just to avoid her sadness is pure selfishness. If you truly love her, you must learn to value her and say goodbye with the respect she deserves. You are right, Father, Eden admitted. I must give her a sincere apology and say a proper goodbye at last. Sensing the sudden shift in Tia's mood, they quickly changed the subject. Tia, come on, let us show you somewhere else. You will love it. It is where they guard the goddess's bow and arrow, and Tia followed them without hesitation. Raina's lullaby mentions 3 sacred relics, the left bow, the right mirror, and the blue necklace. That bow is right here. They say the original Grey Wolf built the arena just to protect this sacred relic. How breathtakingly powerful it looks, Tia whispered, deeply moved. I feel an unexplainable wave of nostalgia right now. This warm energy brings me peace. Could it be the goddess's presence? Oh, Tia, our sweet little girl. Theo panicked. Why are you suddenly crying? I wish I knew, Tia said, brushing away her tears. I was not thinking of anything sad, so what is wrong with me? The bow's aura feels identical to my mother's. I am fine, Tia said. Let us go prepare for the succession ceremony. I am glad you are okay. Thank you for showing me the bow, Tia said, and that's where we leave things, dying for more. Hold on, Devon is right. This strange stringless bow really does seem to hold an absolute mountain of power. It looks like an upright serpent and feels incredibly unique. Tia froze in shock for a second, then looked again. There is no string. But I definitely saw something earlier. I must find a chance to inspect it during the ceremony. I am so incredibly excited for young Master Eden's succession ceremony to begin. If he takes over the Vibus family, the Wolfpack's combat strength will skyrocket to a whole new level. They say his battle skills and strategies are legendary, a true genius inheriting the greatness of Lord and Lady Vibus. Tia listened quietly from among the crowd. So many people were talking non-stop about Eden. "My lady," Creed greeted her. "Good evening, how was your day?" "I was busy exploring the area. What about you, Creed?" Tia replied that she was doing well too. Creed offered her a glass of orange juice. "Thank you," she smiled. "Watch this intense rivalry unfold with me." Creed smirks proudly at Eden, instantly sparking absolute fury from above. That cunning fox strikes again. "Tia, I truly wish I knew if you think of me while reading or walking, but I left and cannot ask directly. Still, I want to wrap this up quickly and return, especially with guys like him lingering around you all the time." The ceremony soon began. Hogwood announced that before the Vibus family succession, they had to pray for the deceased. Secretly, Tia stole a glance at Karis. Now, pay close attention to Lady Karis, looking devastated. Is she thinking of her daughter? I will pray too. I hope Lord Zacher and Lady Karis find peace soon, and that their late daughter is safe in the afterlife. I also pray for my family and my future siblings. Now, at last, the grand Vibus succession ceremony begins. Eden Vibus stepped forward with a firm stride, the true heir of the family. He will lead the Vibus alongside the Grey Wolves. Watching him on stage, Tia felt a deep, heavy bitterness in her heart. I never imagined the last time I would see Eden would be here. Are you really leaving without saying a single word? Did the years we spent together mean absolutely nothing to you? You are truly too cruel to me, Eden. Suddenly, the candles blow out. You and I both knew something was wrong. Tia trembles as the crowd panics. Is it an enemy raid? Did they breach us? Zacher shouted loudly, ordering everyone to prepare for combat immediately. Reed quickly grabbed Tia's hand to protect her. Leopard attack, Devon shouted. Where is Tia? Eden searched in sheer panic. Watching the chaos unfold from above, Sigmund wore a deeply sinister smirk. First, we throw this foolish pack into absolute chaos to easily test the power of that weak little girl. Suddenly, Creed activated a magic circle, bringing light back. Ah! Sigmund was completely stunned by such a rapid response. It has been too long, Sigmund. Zacher roared in fury. I lost my beloved daughter because of you. Today I will never let you escape. There is no doubt, Sigmund thought, our plans were leaked beforehand. Holding up the Blue Moon replica, Sigmund mocked him. Do you honestly think you will get what you want? The madness of the Blue Moon has taken over. Zacher gritted his teeth, firmly ordering to knock out the beastmen. Affected, trust me, things get wilder.